Start the meeting. Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Solvang City Council meeting for March 23rd, 2026. We are beginning at 6:30, and just for purposes of convenience, please make sure your phones are on silent, and we'll get started with roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Here.
Councilmember Claudia Rona, absent. Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. John is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Thank you. Hand over your right heart, or left heart, over your heart. I pledge allegiance.
How many hearts?
Anybody that did the right heart?
Thank you. That's why it's not heart surgery, it's marketing. All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Okay. We have a proclamation this afternoon. It is to the International Dark Sky Week, April 13th to the 20th, 2026. Whereas International Dark Sky Week is a global celebration of the night that highlights the beauty and shared heritage of star-filled sky and encourages communities to recognize the value of natural darkness for human health, scientific discovery, cultural traditions, and environmental stewardship. And whereas light pollution, defined as the excess or indirect use of artificial light at night, diminishes our ability to see the stars, disrupts wildlife and ecosystems, impacts human circulation rhythms, and waste energy. And whereas responsible lighting practices include directing light downward where needed and using illumination only when and where necessary, help prevent the nighttime environment while maintaining public safety and community vitality. And whereas Solvang's scenic setting in the Santa Ynez Valley, framed by open space, agricultural lands, and rolling hills, provide a rare opportunity to experience the wonders of the night sky and underscores the community commitment to preserving its rural character and natural resource. And whereas International Dark Sky Week provides an opportunity for residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations to learn about light pollution and consider practical actions to conserve the beauty and integrity of the night sky for future generations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor David Brown, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim April 13 to 2026 as International Dark Sky Week in the City of Solvang and encourage residents, businesses, and community partners to promote responsible lighting practices and to take time to look up and appreciate the wonder of the night sky. In witness thereof, I have unto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Solvang, California, to be affixed on this 23rd day of March 2026. Do we have a representative from the Dark Sky here? Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am Rachel Metz, Assistant Director at the California Nature Art Museum. I have been a resident of Solvang for 2.5 years and am part of a county-wide coalition of organizations who worked across all 8 cities of Santa Barbara County and with the County Board of Supervisors to get proclamations issued for International Dark Skies Week. Of the 8 cities in our county, 6 have agreed to issue proclamations for International Dark Skies Week this year. All of the groups in our coalition, including members from CalNAM, Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, We Watch, Astronomy Club of Lompoc, and more, thank the City of Solvang for recognizing the value and integrity of a naturally dark sky and taking action to protect it. Dark skies are impacted by light pollution, which is the excessive or misdirected use of artificial light at night. However, this is a rare form of pollution in the sense that it is immediately and easily reversible. As soon as the light is pointed down or shielded, the pollution is gone. The benefit is not only to allow us all to experience the beauty and shared heritage of seeing the Milky Way and the constellations, but also for the health of wildlife and ecosystems, as well as our community. It is completely feasible to expect that when we step outside on a moonless night anywhere in Solvang, even near developed areas, we should be able to look up and see the Milky Way spilling across the sky. So we join the City of Solvang in urging residents to learn about light pollution and night sky-friendly lighting, to consider practical actions that reduce light pollution and preserve our nighttime environments, and once in a while to step outside in the evening, look up, and experience the wonder of a star-filled sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, now we have a presentation from for our 2025 marketing reports, TJA Advertising. Mr. City Manager, would you like to?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce John Sorgenfry, who knows where his right heart is, and he's going to give a presentation on last year's marketing efforts.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Nice to see you all. As Randy mentioned, we're going to give you a short but thorough report of our efforts for the last year. And let me start with a brief overview of the services. So the next slide, please. This basically are the services that TJA is responsible for. And I think most of you are familiar with this, but I thought this would be a good review. So we manage all of the paid advertising, which includes media buying and media placement, creation of all the different creative assets that go into the campaigns, such as digital, print, video, and social media. And I'd just like to add that we share all of these components with the other 2 marketing firms that are joins us, like when we do a photo shoot, which we just did actually this last week. We provide all that footage for them to use for their efforts as well through social media and public relations. We created your website and we continue to maintain it. We also created the dashboard that you're familiar with, and we do both the maintenance on that as well. Targeted paid social ads. So we are involved in social media when it comes to the paid targeted ads that take place on Facebook and Instagram, and Claudia will tell you a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. Creation and distribution of monthly e-blasts, and this is kind of a joint effort too that we all work together in writing it, and we send it out. And handling all of the Pinterest platform and efforts with that social media, and Claudia will talk to you about that too from TJA. And crowd risk management and monthly blog creation. So those are the services that we do. And then getting on to like looking at ROI and return on investment, and this is something that we've shared with you before, but I think it's a good way to look at how we're doing when it comes to bringing back dollars into the city of Solvang. So looking at a 12-month period, we had 102,000 times lodging referrals. And also if you look, what they call a look-to-book ratio, which is basically how many of those people that went to our lodging referrals page actually booked a room. And 30% is actually a pretty conservative amount. So using that ratio, so we had 30,636 reservations, and you times that by 2 because the normal length of stay, average length of stay is 2 nights. So that gives you over 61,000 room nights, and then again, you further part of that calculation, this mathematical problem, you then take your average daily room rate, which is at $225. That gives you total sales, lodging sales from the website traffic of over 13,786,000. And then looking as it goes down to TOT and those dollars return back to the general fund, and using the TOT rate of 14%, The return on the TOT, raising of the TOT is close to 2 million, 1.930. So that gives you a little bit of an idea on the marketing as it relates to the lodging referrals. And just to let you know, lodging referrals are what we use our campaign for predominantly. We want to try to get overnight stays. We believe that, and that's not to say we don't help promote the restaurants and the businesses, but getting people to stay in the hotels also means that they're going to go to restaurants and they're going to fulfill themselves here with other things. So paid advertising campaigns, we did a kind of a celebrated ad with San Ynez Valley News. We did a Sojourn digital campaign, which I'll give you a little bit more detail about in a moment. LA Weekly sponsored eBlast. That was in the fall to promote our events. Visit California Co-op. This was in print, and that was done in the wintertime. We also did a USA Today travel guide print ad, which also covered winter. And each of these digital campaigns, the targeted households are incomes of 150,000, male and female, age 25 plus, and we're predominantly interested in a drive market. So basically, if you drew a circle around Solvang, that would encompass the Northern California all the way down to Southern California, and also over into the valley of Fresno and Bakersfield. So in looking at Sojourn, just to kind of explain what this platform is, it's the #1 travel platform for hotels and destinations. They target travelers with our desired demographics using website visitation, also cell phone use and credit card sales to track and report results in real time. So this is probably one of the most successful campaigns we could do to really look and see what we got from a dollar standpoint, and I'll share that with you. So we spent $25,000 on the campaign that ran from September 8th to November 30th and included native stories, display ads, video, YouTube ads, and mobile ads. We had over 2,400, 2.4 million impressions. We had over almost 3,000 clicks, and the click-through rate, which is the CTR, was 12 cents, which is a very low click-through rate. So the estimated income impact was 94,950. This included lodging sales, restaurants, and other local businesses. Campaign also included targeting the local fly market, which was predominantly Santa Barbara Airport, and then, as I mentioned, the drive markets. And there's some additional metrics that you'll find on the dashboard for all the campaigns that we did. And now I'm going to turn it over to Claudia. She is our social media manager, also our marketing manager, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the paid social ads that we do. Are you there, Claudia?
I'm here. I just got unmuted. Can everybody hear me?
Yep. Loud and
Okay,
clear.
perfect. So yeah, as John mentioned, we handle the paid social side of things. So every month we launch and optimize monthly meta ads on Solvang's behalf. So basically we start out targeting the Placer AI audiences that have been identified and provided from Candace. And then we layer in additional targeting such as travel planning and income levels, so people who are most likely to want to visit Solvang. So in terms of our average cost per click, we're very, very low on those. We had our top performing ad for the year was actually in November, which helped us promote Yule Fest. But every single ad on Meta that we run always links back to the lodging specials page. So every link click back is to that lodging specials. As John mentioned, that is our main objective. So our average ad per year for every month this year drove just under 17,000 link clicks. So that continues to be a very valuable tool for us marketing-wise. Moving on to our next slide. We also handle Solvang's Pinterest. So last year we drove just over 50,000 impressions on Pinterest with an active audience of over 27,000 people. Our top posts for the entire year all pertain to things to do, Danish days, and historical. So that kind of aligns. People go on Pinterest to plan their trips. So we're always keeping that in mind as we create content to help people plan. Moving on to Crowdrift. Next slide, please. We continue to utilize Crowdrift to source user-generated content. So that's photos and videos that we can use on both the social media and website for Solvang. So far we've sourced over 800 pieces of content that are embedded all over the website. There is a local hood story program that actually did get sunset by Crowdrift, but we now work directly with Visit California through Crowdrift to embed vertical videos on the Visit California website. So we upload those on a quarterly basis, and that's offered by Crowdrift. So that's a great tool. We also use that user-generated content on Pinterest. So we're trying to spread those assets as far as we can, because this is definitely investment, and we want to use it as much as we can. And moving on, we continue to create and deploy those monthly e-blasts, which are then repurposed into blog posts. So those e-blasts are sent to our subscriber list that has just under 70,000 people. So it's a huge list. We actually have added over 360 new subscribers in the last 30 days alone. So we continue to see growth of the list, which is great. Our average open rate is 46%, which is incredibly high. It's actually 22% is industry standard. So we're blowing that out of the water. Our top performing e-blast for the year went out in May, and that was for What's New content. That reached a 47% open rate. So that was great. And with that, I will pass it on to Tom. He will go over some of the website design projects and how we're utilizing AI and some of the website data. So go ahead, Tom.
All right. Thanks, everybody. So my website design project highlights for last year, we added AI SEO software and reporting. I do monthly blog articles. So I get the content, we post them up. Twice monthly, I do calendar updates, happenings updates, and specials updates to the site. We've been doing annual event pages and support. So Yulefest, Danish Days, Brick and Builds, Harvest and Haunts, and Restaurant Week all have their own pages. And we keep those updated and promote them when the time comes. We added a happenings post system, which works sort of as a something other than events. So just kind of things that are ongoing, maybe like a certain night at a restaurant that's recurring that we don't want to clutter the calendar with. We have the happenings for that. We do featured specials, which are like highlighted specials for the properties, and they're in the sidebar on the specials page. So I go in and I scrape all the lodging websites for the recent specials and add them there, and they expire, and I load them in every month. And then I developed a new dashboard. So we developed that and launched it. You can see the preview of what the homepage for that looks like over on the side of this slide. And then another thing was that we've been involved in all these voting promotions, and so we've been keeping up with getting those in a pop-up and driving those types of votes for those as well. And then so next slide, please. And so this slide's for our website stats. And so January through December 2025, our conversion rate is 9.54, which we're really proud of. That means that basically 1 in 10 visitors that go to our site end up on one of the lodging specials pages. And so our sessions last year were just over 1 million. Our page views were about 1.7. Lodging specials and page views were 200,000, and we had 102 referrals. Speaking to some of the sessions being down slightly, that's a direct result of AI and the rise of what are called no-click searches. It's affecting DMOs all across the board, and I'm going to address that in my next slide about AI. We had 9,000 walking map downloads. City map downloads were 4,029. Newsletter signups were 3,075. People joined our email list for that goes out for the e-blasts. And this is largely driven by a pop-up on the homepage. And so, like I mentioned, the decline in sessions is driven by the rise of AI-driven search. So it's been reducing traffic generally across the internet for people in the category of low-intent research-based traffic, because simply now, from a user perspective, you go and do a search, you get a summary, you get the information that you need from the summary, and you don't actually visit the website any longer. So I'm going to refer to the next slide for strategy on adapting measurement reporting for that. And my AI SEO strategy and execution slide here. So I implemented advanced AI SEO. We've leveraged a combination of advanced tactics and proven strategies. And we're also using the latest emerging tools to gain foothold in this new Google landscape. We were in early on AI. And a lot of our competitors are still trying to figure out what to do. And we're driven really by this new rollout. So we launched a dedicated program, including on the new dashboard. We've got enhanced reporting and insights. And so that includes the new dashboard metrics and a comprehensive monthly report detailing insights. So some of these metrics are like share of voice, which is our presence in the Google AI mode. It's expressed as a percentage in the dashboard. Positive sentiment, you can tell the qualitative measurement of the emotional tone of our brand mentions. So, how much people are talking about us and what they're saying in terms of is it good or bad. We've got intent distribution, so why users are searching. So they could be looking to learn or buy or compare. So across these queries, we can divide now that traffic into low intent and high intent, and which particular types of searches are going to trigger an AI summary. And so this all sounds really technical, but basically it amounts to transitioning to this new landscape. So the new landscape means that we're trying to get, instead of getting the click, we're trying to become the source that AI chooses to cite. So for queries where users only seek quick factual answers, will be listed in those sources. And if they want to delve further into it, they'll find our site, which then converts them to more like a warm lead. So anyway, besides that, we also want to maintain our regular high intent visibility. So all of the regular SEO rules still apply, making quality content and things like that. So that's it for me on this slide. If I hand back over to John for the recent
John, do you
creative.
mind if I ask a question? Because if I don't ask it now, I'm going to forget.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely.
On that search, so I think what you told us is the reason that our search result or our search metrics have declined is because we're getting more targeted results. So we're getting higher quality clicks versus less intent or less
Right.
sentiment.
The first item that we had up there was for the stats was that, let's go to here. So the conversion, lodging referral sessions, that's what that's still a positive, and that's what our primary goal is. And what's happened is, and I'm sure you've all experienced it, and if you want to find something, a quick answer to something, a lot of times Google will just deliver that right at the very top before you get to a website. So what we have done, what Tom was discussing, is that we have software now that gives us clues on how to be that content for what appears when somebody does search. So it's actually another thing we've got to monitor and take part in, because we want to be the source for the answers, so they hear from us.
So the way to read, I get why we're using AI and that it can build in more assessment
Yes.
to the people we're serving or seeing engage us. But what you're saying is that if our click rate, our conversion rate stays constant, but our session numbers go down, our page views go down, it's actually good. It's actually an indicator of surgical precision. Is that the way to interpret it?
Yeah, I mean, we still want to see our sessions, do well, but we wanted to give you the explanation that we've got a new world with AI. Of course, it's involving not only the website, everything in the world, but that we're on top of that as well. So we continue to try to build the sessions, but we also realize there's another way that people are getting their information, and we want to be the content provider for that. And that's where the software comes in and some of the things that Tom discussed.
And the new dashboard, just a reminder, because it's been a while, so sorry, but I'd like to go look at the new dashboard. We still have logins. We all still have logins for that dashboard, right?
You should.
Do we need a new one with a new version?
I believe.
No, you should be able to go directly to that.
Okay.
And in
Yeah.
fact, you were correct in what you were saying, because we've been streamlining the call to actions to get people to where they want to be faster. So you're right in that, if our sessions are up but our page views are down, that means that people are getting where they need to go faster.
I think also on the page views too, that we've tried to seek out ones that, when we go through and correct old information and things, we might abandon a page if it's out of date. So that is another reason why page views could be down as well, keeping the
Thank you.
thing maintained. So this is just real quickly, just a sample of some of the creative. We've done a lot more than this, but as you can imagine, UleFest is always a big effort for us. But in addition to that, we do brand Solvang on its own, and we also, of course, promote Danish Days. But all the other things that we do in and around Solvang and creating the overnight stays is all about what to do here and how to enjoy their stay. And that's concludes our presentation. Sorry, I blew the Pledge of Allegiance. That's the first time in all my career that I've been asked as a vendor to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm really honored. Wish I could have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a
Anyway, thank
quick
you.
question for you
Yes.
before you're dismissed. How the bookings, how does our site for the city versus the Visit SYV site? Are we in competition? Is there where do they mold together and where do they, because I'm looking at your booking, and is that solely our site, or is there any
Yes, that's-
contribution from the other site?
No, that's
I'm-
totally
I'm not
totally
sure.
our site, and this only on the website. It's only Solvang properties. So whereas San Ynez obviously includes all the other areas as well. I would say that I would look at it as they're not a competitor, but a complement to what we're doing. But the stats that we presented tonight is the website that Solvang utilizes only.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
But
more?
there was one more thing, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Pretty much, if I understand, your target is predominantly individuals.
Well, actually, no. It's individuals,
that-
it's couples, it's families.
Well, what I heard was predominantly single unit family members or whatever, but are we doing anything on behalf of groups or small conferences or anything like that? Is that one of our targets, and should it be?
We do some, but that is not an area that, it's very competitive. Like if you try to go in some of the meeting planner magazines, you're in competition with, Hawaii and all these other big destinations. But anytime that, like when we do blogs and things like that, like family reunions, those types of things, we certainly promote.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Oh, I just want to add that Candace is great to work with, and Randy. We have a really good team, and our other marketing partners as well. So it's all working well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Leanna from Islet online here, and we can share these slides as you want to go through them. Leanna, if you want to jump around, just let me know.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Okay. Am I missing it? All right, we have our 2025 report to go through with you tonight. Here's a brief overview. We can go on to the next slide. Okay, so starting with an overview of the 2025 social by the numbers, everything is looking phenomenal here. Across all platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok that we manage, we have over 122,000 followers, which is up almost double year over year. Total content interactions, we have just under 600,000, up 262%. We shared over 420 pieces of content in 2025, over 11 million views. The breakdown there is about over 5 million on Instagram, 5 million on Facebook, and over 1 million on TikTok. New follower growth, Instagram here is leading the pack, a total of 41,000 new followers. for the year 2025, up just under 25,000 on Instagram, up 12,600 on Facebook, and up just under 4,000 on TikTok. Next slide. Okay. We have an overview of the annual engagement rate. So the City of Solvang's account on Instagram has about a 1.9% average engagement rate for the year, which is far outperforming other local destinations, including the industry standard, which is 0.72% for engagement. So Solvang is very engaging when it comes to content on social media. Our top performing content, the top 3 pieces that performed in 2025 were all user-generated visitor content that we curated. We continue to see that the visitor content and the different perspectives drive a lot of engagement on especially videos. The top performer had 1.4 million views with just under 100,000 interactions, over 26,000 shares. And then the next 2 had just under 500,000 views. One had 15,000 interactions, another had 40,000 interactions and 14,000 shares. So very impressive there. These top 3 were, of course, all Yule Fest content. We see that the end of the year push for Yule Fest definitely it captures a lot of attention on social. Our key takeaways for 2025 is that video content remains king and is the primary driver of engagement and audience growth. With the video content, you're able to capture a cold audience and reach new people, where static content and photos, you used to only be pushing it out to your current followers. So our strategy moving into 2026 is to post as much video content as we can and move away from static. The other would be, second best would be doing carousels and graphics. Seasonal experiences, Yule Fest in particular, and Danish Days always perform well on social. And for the first time, fall harvest content was just slightly below Yule Fest. So everybody was really loving the fall content and seeing Solvang as a harvest destination. There's a strong high intent audience, so people aren't just watching the video and scrolling past, they're also clicking into the website. We had 96% year-over-year growth of 20,000 clicks going to the website. People are also viewing the pages and following the account. User-generated content, as I mentioned, is very strong, and it's coming from different perspectives. 9 out of the 10 top-performing posts in 2025 were all from our curated content. We are supporting and going out of our way to support the Solvang businesses and resharing the content that they have. Right now in particular, we have an Easter post coming up, and we really want to amplify things that are happening in the city at the businesses. And our final takeaway for 2025 is that suites continues to be a theme that is very strong. So we are using that keyword and that opportunity to reach a new audience of people who are looking to travel for suites. All right, so moving into 2026, we have already launched a new automation system that I'm very excited for. We are utilizing AI to drive people off of organic social and onto the website, which is historically very hard to do. So we have that new system that's rolled out. You can see on the last month's worth of posts, we have this thing called a comment trigger, where if somebody comments a keyword, we direct them immediately into the website link in their direct messages. So it's a great way to build rapport of our social media audience there. And we're also working on building in email subscriptions. So we would collect people's followers' emails and turn them into email subscribers as well, so that we can follow up with them there. We are allocating our 2026 creative budget towards splitting our content, capturing fall content, and Yule Fest as well. So we'll have plenty of original video content as well as static images that we can use to continue to promote year after year of what's happening in the city. And we are going to continue to support the Solvang businesses and showcase what they're doing, the events they're doing, the specials through the repost feature and stories as well. All right. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. Randy, who's next?
And next we have Anna from Stiletto and Sue from the Visitor Center.
Thank you.
And I don't know that we're going to do slide by slide, so you'll just help guide me through this.
Yeah, I'll have to give you the number. Let's bring that down, sorry. Okay, so mine is long and wordy because that's what I do, is words. So we're not gonna go through all of it, but I have basically broken down all of these slides into the functions that I handle. There is a lot of piggybacking, as I've said in the past, off of the other team members that I'm working with. In varying capacities, so I'll try to explain this very quickly. So the press communications is my first slide, and I listed everything, so those are all live links. Anybody wants to read anything, what I actually did was not a link to the shared Google Doc of whatever it was that I wrote at any given time. It's actually a link to a news site that picked up an exact replica of that press release, so you can see that. And to address what we're talking about with AI, a lot of what AI is also picking up, as you'll notice, if you do the same keyword searches at any given time for anything to do with Solvang or an event in Solvang or something specific, it will sometimes spit back different information because it's pulling from recent news. So that's another way with press releases and things that we put out there, when it gets picked up exactly, that's another way we can attempt to control what AI is now giving to whoever it is that's seeing that on the other end. So in all, I did about 14 press releases, or as I put it, marketing copy pieces. Not all of them all go out as a press release. A lot of times I'll do it like a press release. That's how I write it. And then the team will use it and pick it apart for what they need. And it won't necessarily be for press purposes. So that's that. Let's skip down to slide number 5. So as John also spoke about, Visit California is huge for us. They are a huge, huge support system in a number of capacities and marketing capacities. And each month we're able to submit up to Visit California to the media or industry section of their site, different content story ideas based on things that they're looking for at that given time, just based on their editorial calendars and whatever campaigns they have going on and what they're doing. So I submit those when we have something. It's not always a perfect fit, so I can't always submit something that has nothing to do with anything we're doing in Solvang. But I submitted last year about 24, so on average 2 a month of these content ideas. And then if you scroll down to the 6th slide, and then on 6 and 7 as well, you'll see where I have it says published in bold, and that's because those are ideas that then get picked up by Visit California in an somewhat editorial capacity. It lives on their media site. So any writers, any editorial people that are looking for California story ideas, go to their site, and then they can see all of these different roundups, whatever the topic might be. So those are things that then get published. They don't all get published, but they all usually get accepted and for consideration, and then get put out on their site. All right, so that's content submissions. So then further on down here, I also have the fact that I do content submissions to the medium party in this, which is Central Coast. So California Central Coast is another conglomeration of DMOs along the Central Coast. So we also do content submissions to them. And then also even more locally to Visit Santa Barbara, which is mainly just the event calendar postings. We go in and manually post different things for them to Santa Barbara's website. And then we have local things like Santa Maria Sun, all of those online event calendars. We also do manual postings to those as well. Okay, so now we are on to slide 11, which is where I start what I call the content or media liaison. And I have a number of slides under this category, and that just essentially means that I am acting as the traditional media or editorial media liaison or concierge for a number of things, whatever is needed throughout the year. So if somebody needs photos, I send photos. If somebody needs an interview and it's not more city related where we'd have Randy do it, then I'm doing an interview. I've been on podcasts, I've been on radio shows, usually revolving around our seasonal activities or our events. So I'm either handling sometimes outbound, but this category is mainly inbound requests that we get that have anything to do with my realm, which is the editorial and media side, traditional media side. So that's kind of just a recap of everything I was doing there throughout the year. We can go down, let's skip quite a bit here. Okay, we're going to skip to slide 19, which is 2025 media visits. So in 2025, we hosted approximately 25 journalists, writers, editors, influencers, or a combo thereof, because there is some overlap. We have influencers who are also writers and vice versa, who were visiting for either potential or future article research, or they actually had an article that hit based on their visit within 2025, or social media content or collaborations. So there's obviously overlap there with what Leanna and her team are doing. And in all of this, mainly through Visit California, I put the little flags up here. We hosted a handful of influencers from some interesting different countries. So we've had quite a bit of international interest still this past year, even though that's waned in some other areas. We still have varying global interest in Solvang. So these were all people that came here. So the little red arrow is pointing to, basically what I did was I went back to all of these influencers that I talk about here throughout the year, and I looked at their posts, their reels, whatever the content was that they put out there about their visits, and I tallied up everything. So over the course of 2025, with all of these influencers that I talk about here, we had a total of upwards of 5.23 million Instagram followers that basically that's like tallying up all of their follower count, right? Adding it up. So we had like an influencer who had 127,000, and then we had one who had 564,000 followers. So those are all their followers as of around March 1st. We had a total of Solvang related Instagram reel views from their content hovering around 1.7 million, and in the realm of 241,600 Instagram posts or reel likes, people liking their content, and about 1,500, 600 comments on each of those, combined, all of those posts across all of those posts and reels, and then 5,500 shares of those posts or reels. And I say all on non-Solvang USA owned channels. However, that's not technically correct, because if it's a collaboration where it's living on Solvang USA and that influencer's channel, then it's not, we don't own that, it's half owned. But that's all those stats there. And then I just did a few slides recapping some of those larger influencers that we had over 2025, many of which were in collaboration with Visit California. So if we skip down to slide 23, what I did here, I know you've all seen throughout the year all the different media hits that I highlight. So here, I kind of took a step back. I looked at Google Analytics, and I tried to sort our referring URLs, the referring sites that are then sending traffic to Solvang USA. And I sorted that by event count. So what event count is, it's more engaged than just somebody hitting the site. Event count is someone hitting the site and then clicking on a link on that page on our site, or scrolling. It's a physical engagement of some sort once they've reached our site. And then these are kind of the top URLs that have been referring traffic over 2025, which is it's of importance to all of us, but it's of importance to me because I'm seeing those are the outlets or platforms or what have you that are either on purpose or not, being most supportive of sending traffic to our site. So that's where I know moving forward at any given time, those are the relationships, those are who we are grateful to and who I need to nurture as far as making sure we still get media coverage of some sort or something, mentions on those sites, because that's where people are coming from at this point in time, or as of last year. So then the following slides just kind of show you like I said on the very first slide after that, that it stands to reason, it's all relative, that the external websites that post about Solvang the most or the most amount of times would be the top referring URLs, right? It's just, you post about us more, you're obviously going to refer, you have 5 articles, you're going to refer more people than somebody who just does 1 article about us. Makes sense. Skipping down again. These are all samplings from those various top sites. Okay. And then on slide 38 and 39, I'm just giving a big old shout out and thanking all of these different outlets that are here, all these logos you see, for posting stories or something about Solvang over this past year. And it's quite a few, and it is varied. It's across the country, it's national, it's regional. So that's just kind of a snapshot there. And then we'll move to the visitor center. But on this, if anyone has questions, let me know.
Do we have any way of putting metrics behind how much PR we're doing, say in comparison to a similar tourist-driven city of our size?
Potentially.
Okay.
So reason I don't really do it is that Visit SYV actually keeps a running tally that includes Solvang. So to separate that out, it's hard. Solvang, just the word Solvang, like if you did a search in some of these reporting systems that I can use, it will spit back oodles of results. And you have to go manually in there and cut out every, like someone just talked about Solvang's weather on one of the Bakersfield news stations, right? It's really hard. It's very arbitrary, a lot of the data that it does spit back. And I actually use 3 different systems to pull some of the stats that I do report on sometimes on a monthly basis. And each of those systems will also give you different numbers.
I just look at your logo slide and it's a feel-good slide, but I don't know how good it is.
Right, exactly. And I could go in and actually look at all of the articles, because those are taken from my previous reports throughout the year, and find that exact article. So I could do that. That would be easier to target if I went back in and said, okay, these are specific articles, I'm taking a list of that, and then I can give you what one of the platforms or 2 of the platforms and separate it out
That might be
actually says
interesting.
about that.
Yeah. And then just look at that consistently over time.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, again, that is still very arbitrary. It's UVPMs, it's based on what the internet's saying their site traffic is, changes wildly for these outlets, and the dollar amounts are extremely questionable as far as editorial publicity value. So, yeah. But yeah, we could do that to narrow it down. Yeah. Maybe quarterly. Do it that way.
Something to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question regarding influencers and the content that they make is, a lot of it is remarkable. So I'm wondering, how does one pick what influencers? Do you reach out to them? How much do they cost? Do they make reels for free hotel rooms and Ebel's Keyword, or do they get a honorary? How do they work?
It's always different. It's always different. And again, I have mentioned in the past that a lot of what I'm doing is itinerary building and really tailoring each of these itineraries for the people that do come here. So some of it is inbound. We get a lot of inbound requests. So then I take that to Candace and to Liana and her team, and I say, okay, well, what do we think of this person? And then we kind of, quorum on that and decide whether it's somebody we want to move forward with or not. Next step would be, okay, we want to move forward. How much are they going to request? So then you go through negotiations. Sometimes they don't request. Sometimes it's simply our hosted visit on our end. So it's an expense on our end sometimes, but it's not a contract payment to that person for influencers. Sometimes it has to be a contract payment. And we try to get obviously as low as we can get with that combo with the host, because they're getting that as well. So it really varies depending on who it is. And then there are people that we do outreach to because we feel that they're going to be a good match for us specifically, or for a specific theme, right? Depending on the season or whatever the event is that we're promoting. Yeah, so it totally, it's on an individual basis every time. And then their itinerary is also individualized based on their followers, their audience, and what we're trying to get out of their content.
All right, interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's
Nick?
you.
So Sue starts on slide 40.
And I don't have 40 slides. And also in lieu of time, I won't go through all the slides. So I'm sure you've looked at them. Our numbers are looking super good in the visitor center. Before, though, I go into a little tiny bit of that, Elizabeth, I wanted to just mention something as you were asking TJA about visits to the website and how they're down a little bit. And we did discuss that in our TMAC meeting a little. And Candace was really good at explaining kind of that. And I definitely am not the expert. I'm good with people in the visitor center. But we did talk about it. And she was saying that those visits on all websites now have come down with AI because of AI. So it's like, it's not just us. She was explaining how AI, because we just go chat GPT, what should I do in Solvang, and then we get a whole bunch of answers. And then we don't need to go to the website anymore. So she was explaining how TJA, which he talked about a little bit, is using AI, though, also to still try and get the website in the AI content so that AI will say, oh, go to solvangusa.com for more information. And she was explaining like how fast it's moving. So I think they've been doing a really good job with moving with that. And the same with Leanna was explaining how they are doing that in social too, with trying to get the social to send people to our website. So as far as what I was hearing from Candace in our TMAC meeting, the last meeting when we discussed it, sounded like they were doing a really good job at like moving with what's going on, because she was explaining how fast this has gone, as we all know, right? Just moved really fast. So I was just thinking about that because we discussed it in TMAC. So, and also Claudia was talking about the influencers. I know Anna and I were just talking about this today because she also, I think you guys kind of base it off of followers too. Like how many? Do you look at that too?
We look at how many, but biggest doesn't always win.
Right,
really
right. But that's part of it. But then she also was telling me that they'll take, so if you don't know how this works, like I formulate my report, then I send it to Anna, and then she shares it with the rest of the marketing team. And then they use even what we say in the visitor center as well. Like we have the top countries that it's in my slides there of which ones, the highest number of countries that people said they were from. We put the 10 top ones in there. And so she might use something like that to look at, to say, oh, okay, well, we have a lot of people coming from here. These weren't hard numbers. They're people telling us, oh, we're from here, and we write it down so we don't get it from all of, which I explained in the slide. But it's still good information to know, okay, who's interested in coming here, and it sort of helps make those decisions. So sort of good for you to know like that we all are trying to work together and use each other's information to help each other to be better for Solvang and have, a very united front on the marketing. So just with that. So I just want to say, the numbers for the visitor center were awesome. A new record again this year, over 105,000 total visitors for the whole year. In December, we had a new record again, it was a little over 17,000 visitors in the visitor center during December. And we know that is driven, as I put in there also it's EulaFest, but because we run the Nooser scavenger hunt. And lots of people come in twice because they come in to get their clues and then they come back again to get their prize if they finished it. So we get double visits, but that's fantastic. We love doing it. And also the highest day of the year this year was the Saturday that the Nooser scavenger hunt started. So it actually started the Friday after Thanksgiving, But November 29th, Saturday, obviously that's when everybody comes, but that was the highest day, was the Neisser scavenger hunt beginning on a Saturday. So that scavenger hunt is still bringing a lot of people here. They love it. And if you looked in it's not in this report, December report, though, showed how we did, look at, did people want to do the QR code, or do they like these paper clues? And I don't think we had anybody who wanted the QR code hunt for many different reasons, which were in there. But we're trying to find out what people want through there, and it's a great place to get actual face-to-face feedback from people. So that's what we try to do. And that was on the busiest day was 1,162 people, which is a lot of people in hours. So normally on a Saturday, we get between 400 to 500 people on a regular, just average Saturday. So that was more than double. So that's pretty awesome. And just as a little side note, I did visit Santa Barbara's Visitor Center, found out that that's about the number they do in their Visitor Center on Saturday and Sunday as well. And they actually have a restroom in the Visitor Center, so they said that's actually driving the numbers up. So good thing we don't have one in there. And then I just have a little fun story. You can ask me any questions you want. If you didn't know, during EulaFest, Bill Maher came into the visitor center, and he was a little incognito. He had a hat, and he had his glasses on, had his hat pulled down, but he was very funny and very charming. Came in with a group of, it was either friends or family, and he came up to the counter and said, "I heard you guys have some Nisser hunt going on, Danish Christmas elves." He's like, "Can we get the clues for that?" And then it was funny, they didn't get just down the street, and he came back to get help with the clues already, so that was funny. But he came in, and it was actually perfect. Dean was actually in the visitor center too, and he was sitting on the bench in there playing the accordion, kind of looking like Santa. So Bill Maher did come up to him and said, "Oh, are you Santa?" And they had a little interaction, but it was actually pretty awesome to think that Bill Maher was out hunting for Danish Christmas elves in our little Solvang town. So that was pretty fantastic. So that Neisser scavenger hunt, I think, is bringing good things to Solvang. So I won't take too much more of your time, but if you do have any questions about anything I've said or any of my slides, I am happy to answer that.
Mark?
Yeah, quick question. In your slide, you say the top question asked is, do you have a map? How many maps do you give out a year?
So I don't know the number of the year. Candace actually takes care of the maps. They're from the chamber. The chamber orders them. I don't have those numbers as far as what they order because we just go and get them. And we have, like, I put in my reports how many boxes we open and empty, but we still have them in the visitor center, on the counter, outside in the racks. So that might be a question for, like, maybe Randy or Candace on how many they actually are ordering from the chamber, because they don't only come to the visitor center. And we also have, like, a lot of the businesses will come and just grab some from us as well. And we don't, like, there's no way to count exactly how many. We try to keep track so Candace kind of knows how many we're kind of are opening in the visitor center and how many we're going through. But I know they go other places as well rather than just the visitor center.
But you have enough maps.
We have enough maps, right, Randy? Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Well, I want to thank you very, very much. Sue and your team, you are true ambassadors for Solvang, and all you do, everybody that walks through that door comes out happy. And so I don't know what you're telling them, but they seem to be really happy when they're there. Thank you for all you do. And with regards to Anna, thank you, because I've had a couple of interviews this past year from a news group from Taiwan, I think it was, and the news article from
Germany.
Germany.
Der Spiegel.
Der Spiegel.
Yeah.
And Anna was instrumental in getting content to them and photos, and I appreciate that very much. And then this is a general question for your team, marketing team. What future plans do you have from a marketing perspective to leverage the World Cup and the Olympics that are coming in?
Well, I don't know, John, you might have more to add. I mean, I could say that I know Visit California is really on top of that. They're really driving that as far as visitation to the statewide. Where it trickles down from there, it really depends on how we really fit into that piece of the puzzle. So some of the, actually one of the flags I forgot to put on here was Brazil. So we had a Brazilian couple, they were both writers in their own right, that visited in like November, and they were here through Visit California because they were here for an editorial road trip in advance of the World Cup. So that's coming from the top down, and where we fit in, but otherwise it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. We don't really have something here that directly relates to that. As we approach the Olympics, that might be a better fit for some of the things that we're doing, but that we are keeping up, and that's driven by Visit California. I don't know if you have...
I do know that, I don't know what her plans are exactly, but I do know Candace did bring it up in one of our TMAC meetings too. And the Olympics and like the 250th, celebration of Solvang. She's always looking ahead at how we can incorporate some of these things into Solvang somehow. So I do know it's on her radar.
I'll just add that we're going to take advantage of that amount of people coming in. And one of the ways is to have them extend their trip and either attending the World Cup or the Olympics. And so we'll get our campaigns ahead of time. And then, as Anna mentioned, Visit California is a really huge part of this because they have the huge outreach. And if we can do any types of co-ops, maybe San Ynez will do something that we could co-op with. But it's really, the strategy is that since we don't have the games here, is to get them to extend their trip and come up here because they've already made, for the Olympics, already made the trip to Southern California. We just want to let them know how easy it is to go from there to here.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Somebody's got their cell phone close to the microphone. That's what's causing that. That's radio frequency.
Thank you. Okay.
So that's the end of our marketing presentations. We have also a report, post-Yule Fest report. Candace wrote, but is unfortunately not able to be here. So Jenny's here to give a quick summary and answer any questions about her report.
Thank you.
And I'll try and ham and egg what we can.
Okay. So the 2025 Yule Fest post-event report. I'm Jenny McClurg, Parks and Recreation Director, as Randy said, stepping in for Candace Libera. So as we all know, Yule Fest is a very popular event in Solvang, and when you have almost 1 million visitors within a month that come to our town, there are positive and negative outcomes. So, and thanks to our marketing partners for bringing all of the visitors. So first, our economic impact and visitor data. The weather did play a role in our 2025 numbers. We had strong visitation with about 807,000 visitors. That does not include international travelers and visitors under the age of 18. So we estimate maybe about 1 million visitors. It was a 4.9 decrease year over year, and that is due to the weather we had in December and some peak times. Moving along, the sales tax totaled $224,000. That was a 24% decrease year over year. That is largely attributed again to the weather storms between December 22nd and January 3rd. Moving along, we have the Copenhagen Drive closure. So that was between First Street and Alisal Road. That created a pedestrian-focused environment in the downtown corridor. Those benefits included improved pedestrian safety and circulation, enhanced visitor experience and event atmosphere, additional space for programming and performers, improved traffic flow at the Copenhagen Drive and Alisal Road intersection by eliminating the turning movements to that closure. Foot traffic from Placer AI indicates that within that closure area, about 7.2% year-over-year increase between November 28th and December 21st. Visitor feedback and input from many businesses indicated that the pedestrian environment improved the overall event experience. However, some downtown businesses expressed concern that the closure limited direct access to the storefront parking. So with that, staff implemented a 90-minute parking along First Street and then 3 ADA accessible parking stalls at the corners of Copenhagen and First Street. So we'll continue looking at that and working with the businesses, evaluating for future street closures. Moving along parking, during peak visitation periods in December, the public parking areas reached capacity. That resulted in increased traffic circulation within downtown streets and parking lots, difficulty locating available parking during high demand periods, and increased visitor parking within nearby residential neighborhoods. To help address those challenges, staff is working with Old Mission Santa Ynez, developing an MOU, and we would then use some of the open fields at the Mission, currently where like the tree burn is located. We're also exploring expanded transit options, working with the Santa Ynez Valley Transit and RapDev, also Clean Air Express with a trip between Solvang and Santa Barbara. Moving along to public restrooms. When you have that many people, we had increased attendance, and that resulted in long wait times at our existing facilities, higher demand in the downtown core, and an uneven distribution of restroom access across the event footprint. Staff will evaluate improvements, including additional temporary restrooms at Solvang Park, and then they would also be placed at the Mission parking lot. We would improve directional signage to the existing restroom facilities and long-term restroom infrastructure considerations to the downtown core, which you'll hear about in our master plan. Moving along to traffic management and pedestrian safety. So we had the crossing guards, which was well received. And the crossing guards reduced vehicle-pedestrian conflicts and contributed to improved traffic flow at key intersections, particularly on the large major programming days. Based on these outcomes, staff will continue evaluating the strategic placement and potential expansion of the crossing guard coverage and other traffic management measures. We are also including in our yearly Caltrans encroachment permit to see if we can get crossing guards on Mission Drive. So looking ahead for 2026 in our planning, we are looking to evaluate restroom capacity and placement, assessing the pedestrian circulation and event footprint, reviewing street closure logistics, evaluating expanded crossing guard coverage at high traffic intersections, identifying the additional parking opportunities within and near the downtown core, exploring expanded transit and shuttle options to reduce vehicle congestion, enhanced parking signage and wayfinding to better direct visitors to available parking areas. And then staff is also exploring opening, or I should say closing, 2nd Street. It does not impact as many businesses. We'd have to work with the trolley on placement. We could open it to food trucks for, on some days, some of the restaurants couldn't handle the amount of people. So bringing more availability for food options, more seating, things like that. So staff will conduct a survey of downtown core businesses to gather feedback regarding the Copenhagen Drive closure and include the potential to adjust or reduce the closure timeframe, as well as the input on the possible implementation of a 2nd Street closure. So in closing, Yule Fest remains a significant economic driver for the city, supports lodging properties, restaurants, retail businesses, and generates important TOT. And with that, that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Anybody else? Okay. Candace, so this is obviously a super great.
Jenny.
Sorry, Jenny. Super great Yule Fest. I got so much feedback from the crossing guards because, most of the people that are in my district are south and get out of town either through Oak or all the way through Alisal Road. So if we were, the feedback that I got was improved skills from the guys who are actually doing the crossing guards. I had one person tell me that the crossing guard said, actually did this to them, like, you can go now. And so maybe just up-level their skills and increase their hours would be the feedback. My main question is, are we looking at, when we think about closing the roads, and we got some feedback that the businesses felt foot traffic impact because of elimination of parking, what can we do to drive more sense of place and activity in the closed road? So if it's open to pedestrian crossing and the cobblestones right there, can we put lit Christmas trees? Can we put more seating? Can we put even small Christmas market food stands? That kind of programming that encourages more, less foot traffic, more, sort of presence, and they stay longer and enjoy the space longer and therefore spend. Can we look at things like that?
Absolutely, and we've actually anticipated in the budget of adding some of those seating options and, some performance, acts, stuff like that would enhance.
Yeah. I would just like, even to off, because I know we were all sensitized to how much foot traffic Solvang Park got and the surprise expense for the seating, just to offload that space by putting another center of gravity in town with a bigger Christmas tree or something else that's a visual attraction. The other question I have is the Placer AI. How does that work? How does that give us foot traffic data? How do we know how accurate that 800,000 visitors are?
Yeah.
Cell phones.
So we're capturing different IP addresses?
Say that again?
Are we capturing unique IP addresses?
No. It's just tracking who's coming and where they're going.
And there's specifics to it, it knows if you're a
geofencing
local, it knows if you're.
They can't, by law, track international visitors. It also can't ping or track juveniles. But it does, it's a software system, and a lot of it has to do when you get on, you give permissions and whatever, and
Location
almost always say
services, yeah.
yes to everything because it's easier. So people that do that are showing up in the system. If you're not in town more than, I think it's 30 minutes, it doesn't count you. I mean, there's a lot of guardrails on this, but it does not track. We do know that approximately a third of, in 2024, a third of the 5 million visitors were unique visitors. So that indicates that people are coming back 2 or 3 times. But when we talk 5 million in visitors, that is not unique visitors. That's people coming here in some cases multiple times.
And is there a metric to that one, like staying more than 30 minutes?
Yes, they are. They have to be within the geofence of the city for more than 30 minutes. So somebody driving through on 246, unless you're sitting in traffic for 30 minutes, isn't going to show up.
That's possible.
That actually, sorry to say. We needed to pack a lunch sometimes.
So
Thank you.
It says here that your foot traffic from the Placer indicates activity within the closed area increased 7.2%, but your overall population was down by 20% plus.
On Copenhagen.
On Copenhagen, okay.
The
Interesting.
overall visitation for the city was down.
Right.
But
there was
it
up
was
in this
increased
area.
in that little, yeah.
Right, okay.
So it's kind of a little counterintuitive, but again, that also shows that having the pedestrian zone was beneficial to those businesses.
Yeah.
And a lot of we had a great start to the month, but because the weather, serious weather came in later, that kind of, pardon the pun, dampened the mood and created people not wanting to come here.
And it rained on our parade, yeah. Okay, the parking aspects to this and the shuttles that you proposed, or the ones that I heard, were all public entity type of things. I'd like you to also consider private entity shuttles and the like to accommodate this. And then I would like to, it was brought to my attention, security was a little lax, not a little, it was very lax as far as presence of police and whatnot. It would be really cool if we had, during the peak hours, a mounted patrol unit. And I'd like to see something along those lines. There were some altercations that I heard of. They weren't reported, I don't suppose, but I did hear of altercations for long lines and things of that nature. So
Some of the things we've talked about are possibly a parking, monitor in the parking lots, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then sheriff is very hard to get. We only had them for our major events this year.
this was pretty major for that many people.
Right, for our events.
Yeah.
Not on the, just
Right.
typical day.
Okay.
I'm going to echo what the mayor is saying here. I think we have a good dose of reality of what our sheriffs can and can't do when 800,000 guests come in to our tiny town. But and that may mean we have to close the gaps with contracted services, because I have a different set of feedback, not altercations, but some shoplifting experiences with no response from security or police. So I think we owe our residents and our businesses some heightened security if we can manage it.
And there is a local enforcement agency that we can hire. Usually all a bunch of ex-deputies, but they're all here.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
cost. It comes down to cost.
It's cost, I understand.
Yeah, sure does. Thank you. That was a great report. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on. Coming up. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. Would you read that into the agenda or into the record, please?
At this time, you may address the council on items not on the agenda and on consent. Time limit is 3 minutes, and we will start with in-person public comments first.
Okay, I have Mr. Dennis Beebe, followed by Ken Ainslet. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Dennis Beebe, Solvang. I was advised that this would be the occasion to make a comment on Jenny's presentation of Yulefest. So,
Good timing.
it was an outstanding success. I congratulate marketing and the staff. But, I always have some comments. Hopefully, these are suggestions for 2026. I certainly support the closure of one block of Copenhagen, although I admit I don't have any businesses there. But the traffic cones, orange traffic cones, really should be addressed. And I suggest that Jenny or Candace think of maybe a project at Solvang School where these traffic cones are decorated so they have a Yulefest look. Or maybe replace them with beautiful stanchions, which also existed. The plan to try to use open areas at the Mission is fantastic. You want to peel off as many visitors coming in from the east as you can. And Candace showed a map of potential areas. I suggest you go for all of them, all of the open areas at the Mission. For vehicles arriving from the west, though, you're taking people through the surface streets to get to one of the two public lots. What happened to the option of using Solvang School, the multipurpose building, on holidays and weekends. You know, there's no signage. I don't know if there was any wayfinding, but if you're trying to get people out of the village proper and searching for parking, that's an option. Let's see. Oh, when negotiating with Caltrans for trying to get crossing guards at Caltrans, I think you ought to include dismantling the demand blinking crosswalk and replace it temporarily, of course, just for this event, with a crossing guard. Much more efficient than anybody on either curb pushing a button. When New York City has rush hour, they dismantle all the traffic lights and put traffic cops there to do a much better job. Oh, crossing guards, I reflect what I just heard recently. They got to be disciplined. They're holding these important signs. The ones I saw had stop on both sides, okay? So far, so good. But more than once, the signs, they don't recognize what power they've got holding these stop signs. And if they don't orient them perfectly, either to traffic or to pedestrians, can be very confusing. You know, they shouldn't scratch their ear with their stop sign because, you know, they don't know what they might cause. So I endorse the suggestion that they be disciplined and be well-trained. That's it. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful event, and I congratulate everybody.
Thank you, Dennis. Ken, you're next.
I guess the subject today is traffic in part. I'm going to continue with that. A good evening to the members of the City Council and to the people of Solvang. Thank you for this time. I'm going to read because I want to meet the 3-minute limit. I'm Ken Ainsley. I currently live on Chalk Hill Road, and for 5 years I lived at the top of Alisal Road at the S-curve. I'm here to address the Friedenborg Canyon proposal to create a multi-purpose trail by making the road one-way. I know you're not at the decision point, but since you've dedicated $30,000 toward this study, I'm assuming you're seriously considering it. I cannot cover everything in 3 minutes, but I did send to the council a document on Friday, which includes a study that I conducted at Friedenborg Canyon at Chalk Hill during an off-hour period. My count was consistent with the official speeding study that was done on Friedenborg conducted last August. I've also included 7 additional issues in that document raised by a one-way solution. I'd appreciate if you all would take a look at that if you have it. For both studies, bottom line, up to 1,000 additional cars a day would be forcibly routed across Alisal Road and or Mission Drive to get to or from the hospitals, doctors, offices, grocery stores, etc. On Alamo Potato and their homes. As you know, there's only 2 ways to get from Alamo Potato, Viborg via Friedenborg Canyon or Alisal, or from Mission Drive. It's the only way you're going to get there. No one should want to make Alisal Road any more a freeway than it already is. The S-curve at the top of the hill has no footpath for at least 50-plus people a day. I know because I was right across the street from it. For the bikes and walks. It's highly dangerous with blind curves, heavy truck traffic and car traffic, and a high rate of speeders already. But keep in mind that anyone going in either direction would have to go back to their starting point, which would also include traveling on Alisal Road if Friedenborg Canyon is one way. Neither should we want more cars to be routed to Mission Drive, and all the reasons we just heard about. The school zones, the tourists, the buses, shops, commuter centers are all heavily overcrowded, and putting 1,000 more cars in there isn't going to help us. My study shows, and you'll read about that approximately 1/2 of the current people using Friedenborg Canyon Road are going to and from Chalk Hill or Skip Mesa to Alamo Pintada and would not have gone anywhere near the school or town to make that trip. If you have it one way, then you have to not do that in one direction and go through the town method. I found it difficult to justify over the 300 Skip Mesa area families, plus all the Friedenborg area people would find the travel significantly difficult when going through town to get to Alamo Pintada. And I'll just say there's no doubt that we need a walking path. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that putting a one-way road in there is not the answer, and we got to spend our $30,000 finding a better solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there anyone else that would like to speak? Anybody on Zoom? No? Okay, we will close for public comment and move on to city manager's report, please.
Yes, I have a few things to talk about. First of all, we are working with the city of Buellton to re-engage with a summer swim program. Obviously, we're still in the investigative stages of it, but tentatively, it looks like for the period between June 15 and July 31st, rec swim and swim lessons up at the pool, the high school pool. So stay tuned for more information coming forward on that. Want to remind everybody also about the ADA survey. The Freedomsport Canyon survey is closed as of Friday. We'll be bringing that information back at one of the upcoming meetings, probably the second meeting in April. That would be April 27th, based on staff's ability to compile the information and get a staff report submitted. There's also a survey about ADA that closes at the end of April. That information is available on our website. And also, there is an effort out there about a Valley Clean Team. Has been Bill Connell is his name, and he wants to coordinate basically cleaning up trash, beautifying the community all over the valley. They're looking to get at least 8 more volunteers. And if you have an interest in that, reach out to me and I can give you his contact information. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Any questions of our city manager? Okay, we'll move on to item 5 on the agenda. Would you read that into the record, please?
Government Code Section 53232.3D, AKA AB 1234, and Government Code Section 84308, AKA SB 1439, report out. Ex parte communications, council comments, requests.
Thank you very much. Who would like to start? Mark?
Thank you. Last couple of weeks have been pretty busy. We had a meeting at Vandenberg, which was a great discussion on what's going to happen and how they're going to grow. That area is going to expand a lot. I went with the mayor and Mr. Murphy. Then, of course, there was the economic summit that most of us made, and we heard a little bit about what's going on in Buellton and what's going on in Solvang. A great presentation, and we just got the materials that was used to present that sent to us today, actually, by Olivia. Then I went to the Library Advisory Council. The Library Advisory Council is for the whole entire county, and I bring that up for a couple of reasons. One, I'm the representative from the city, but there is a discussion. Mr. Armas, who's the Community Services Director for the county staff, he was a member of the committee, told us that the county has a budget issue. That probably doesn't surprise anybody a great deal. What he said was the library, the amount of contribution to the libraries would be reduced by approximately 5%. And everybody in the meeting agreed that we understood and we could deal with that. It was suggested that the board gets a copy of our intent to accept that from them, and it was suggested by First District Supervisor Roy Lee, who's also on that committee, that we do that as a single letter signed by every one of the 5 districts that have the libraries. We're in District 4, that's Goleta, Buellton, and us and the surrounding areas. So shortly, this is not for next year because that budget's already been established. It's for the following year. The other part of that I bring that up for is if the county has a problem and they're going to reduce library, Mr. Armas also said there's going to be a significant reduction in the budget for the sheriff's department. Just about the time we need to renegotiate a follow-on to the sheriff's contract. So I suspect we better get prepared to be surprised. Okay. Following day, I went to the Friends of the Library for the Solvang Library. A couple things about that were rather fascinating to me. Some 2025 specifications. 29,578 items were checked out and returned. So if you don't think the library does anything, over 6,000 adult fiction books, 2,500 adult nonfiction books, 1,100 kids nonfiction books, 11,000 kids fiction books, and then there was park passes, magazines, music codes, hotspots. And they just got a 3D printer, and they're teaching kids how to use a 3D printer. These are great extensions to the schools for education for the kids, and this isn't for the Solvang Library. It includes all the outlying areas. It's not just Solvang residents. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a couple things to report out. I attended also with a number of other council members the Economic Forum, and I'll just say that I thought the content was great, and it was great that our sponsors came out in support to make that event happen. So pleased with that. I also attended the basin-wide JPA meeting for our water sustainability agency. This was across the Eastern Management, Western Management, and Central Management agencies at the Buellton Council Chambers. I don't have really any good information to import. We just did an annual assessment of the water table metrics, and so they should be out there on the Eastern Management JPA website if you're interested in seeing March's results. Also attended a People Helping People fundraiser this past week, and I attended for an hour, short available hour in my schedule, the RMOC Finance Committee meeting this past week.
Go ahead.
Feel like I don't have anything to say. I did also attend the Economic Summit, and after that there was a celebration for Tracy Beard for her retirement and everything she's done for the Chamber of Commerce of Solvang. And I kind of wanted to say thank you to Tracy. She's always been a supporter and a friend, and I wish her the best. And so I thought that was a great event.
Thank you.
Yes, I had a chance to meet with candidate for the gubernatorial race, Chad Bianco, while he was visiting Lompoc. I advocated for cities to keep their local control when it comes to planning. Well, I appreciate what he shared about his ideas for addressing our housing situation. And I might be hosting the the Denmark's Girl Choir, which is touring with the Danish String Quartet. So we might see them around town. We'll see.
Thank you. Okay, not to belabor everything, but I've been at a lot of these meetings too. The State of Vandenberg, the SYV Economic Summit, the North County Sub-Regional Meeting for SCAG, Leadership Mayors and City Managers Meeting in Buellton. I was at a Friends of the Library event at the Elverhoy where they had a guest author that was there, Adam McHugh, and his book. Nice event. Santa Barbara County Association of Governments meeting, Air Pollution Control District meeting, and then I welcomed we had a group in town. The Chief Appraisers Conference was here in Solvang. That's the chief appraisers of every county in California was represented, about 70 people there. Welcomed them to Solvang. Was at the Viking Blood Drive, gave a double power red on that, and then and challenged some others to do the same. And then I also served dinner with the Los Olivos Rotary to the Solvang Senior Center. And then, but really what's really important here is that there's a recognition of one of our own. The International Institute of Municipal Clerks has awarded our clerk with the designation of Master Municipal Clerk, Anna Marie Porter. Congratulations on all that hard work that you've done and helping our city in all your endeavors. So thank you so much and congratulations. That's a nice little award. Okay, we'll move on to item 6. Would you read that into the record, please?
Consent is for routine administrative city matters and is approved with one motion. These items are discussed only on request of council members. Members of the public were afforded an opportunity to speak during the public communications portion of this agenda.
Thank you. Any concerns about the agenda or any items that anybody wants to delegate further? Or deliberate, I'm sorry, not delegate, deliberate. Okay, if none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 7, public hearings. Would you read that into the record, please?
Public hearing to introduce for first reading an ordinance updating and replacing references to planning manager with community development director, making conforming changes throughout the Solvang Municipal Code, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is a public hearing item only because we're touching Title 11 of our zoning code, Title 11 of the Solvang Municipal Code. But this is really just one more iteration of the staff's effort to clean up our municipal code. And all the changes that are before you in this ordinance for introduction are to change references to planning manager to the current title of community development director to reflect the city's actual organization. In prior administrations, there was a change to not have a director level position in the planning department and instead only have a manager level position. And at that time, the direction was to update the code to refer to that title. That not having a director level at the in a planning department, especially in a city like Solvang that has so many planning specific needs, is kind of unusual. And so we've moved back to having a director level position and are updating the code to reflect that to avoid having to do this in the future. The definition of community development director is being defined so it can include the city manager or the community development director's designee. So there's going to be a little flexibility built in that's currently not there. So really a cleanup ordinance. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And it's a public hearing, again, just because our code requires any changes to the Title 11 zoning code to be a public hearing before Planning Commission, and their recommendation is to go ahead and adopt introduce the ordinance and ultimately adopt it. And then our code also requires that when the City Council considers introduction of changes to the zoning code, that it be a public hearing. So a lot of process for a pretty simple change.
Thank you. Any concerns or questions? So if I understand it properly, it's really, we're changing the nomenclature of staff or department head. Okay.
Yes. And, sometimes where we could, we try to handle this kind of thing with just administrative rules to our codifier. But because of the way it was in the code, it was more than just a find and replace. And so that's why we had to do it as an ordinance. And we did a couple other cleanup things, like moving the definition of community development director from the planning commission section of the code actually into the zoning code definition section, because that made more sense, things like that. But so it's a little more than a find and replace, but essentially we're just updating the nomenclature.
Thank you.
And you may recall around this time last year, when we implemented the compensation and classification study for the management level, there was a recommendation of our consultant that the then planning manager, occupied by Raphael, the level of his responsibility, job descriptions, et cetera, was more suited toward the community development director title, which is why we changed it to begin with. And then, as Chelsea pointed out, now there's some cleanup stuff that has to happen in the ordinance.
Very well. I will then open it up to public hearing or public
Yes.
comment.
You were right the first time. Open the public hearing.
Oh, public hearing. I have no speaker slips. Is there anybody present that wishes to opine on this issue? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, I will then close public hearing and bring it back to our dais for any other discussion or questions or motions.
I'll move to introduce the first reading of ordinance 260393, updating and replacing the references as stated.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded to, well, you heard this. You heard the motion. I don't need to repeat it. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We'll be moving on to item 8A. Staff-
Discussion,
Yeah, go ahead and read that into the record, please.
presentation, and discussion of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Okay, hello again. Jenny McClurg, your Parks and Recreation Director, here to talk about the presentation of the draft Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So at the February 12th, 2024 City Council meeting during discussions regarding potential pickleball court renovations, the staff recommended updating the Parks and Rec Master Plan before moving forward with any major capital improvements. This approach was intended to ensure that the future park projects are guided by a comprehensive, long-range vision for the city's parks and recreation system. Then in February 2025, the City Council entered into a contract with Melton Design Group to prepare and update the City of Solvang's Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The master plan is intended to revisit and revise the recommendations of the previous master plan to reflect current and future community and funding needs. It includes the following: provide a strategic roadmap for implementing Solvang's long-term recreation vision, identify demographics, service levels, and recreation trends, develop a comprehensive inventory of parks, facilities, and programs, highlight improvement needs and priorities, identify future park and facility locations, and recommend funding sources and opportunities. So once completed, the updated Parks and Recreation Master Plan will serve as a guiding document for the City Council in evaluating and prioritizing future park and capital improvement projects. City staff does suggest forming a committee of 2 council members and 3 community members through public outreach to review the draft master plan and provide recommendations to the City Council regarding implementation priorities and funding strategies. So the recommended action is to provide direction to staff once, obviously, you see the draft and they present, to recommend implement any suggested changes in the draft or design, and then nominate 2 City Council members to serve on the committee. And then with that, I'd like to introduce Melton Design Group. We have Greg Melton here and Richard Hunt.
Perfect. Thank you. Just turn on. Is it on already? Yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you. And what we submitted to you was our first draft of the master plan. So there's a lot more to come into it. There's still a ton of background data and additional data that will be in it to really support all our directions. So this one gives you a good direction where we're headed. And we will be, it's interesting that this really flowed with all the other reports that you got today, because we're looking at this Parks and Rec master plan as a way to really not only boost the Parks and Rec for the community, but also make it more of a tourism and visitor attraction to give those people another thing to do in town, to hold them in town. So it'll be a kind of a well-rounded document that it really addresses everything from trails to Parks and Rec to economic development, et cetera, et cetera. So she read all the.
Little technical difficulties, sorry. It's showing my home screen for some reason.
Close it and open it again. Close it, pull the cord out after you close it. Put the cord in. And now open it again.
Don't forget, my last name is Murphy, so.
And I'm Kaminsky, so an Irish and a Paul. It should work. It just gets finicky sometimes. You just got your home screen, that's all I'm getting.
I don't know. You do have the pages in your. Well, I have it on the thumb drive, but.
Slides. I don't think we have slides.
The presentation is in your packet.
All right, you want to just roll with that? All right, well, flip to your master plan
Okay.
process. We'll do this the good old way.
We get a copy of it?
It's posted in,
Can you hold it up high so we can?
there you go. So in this quick, on the master plan process, we obviously had kicked off the project. We did a lot of community outreach. We've done surveys. We were at farmers markets. We went to the senior center. We've been downtown park. We went to several of the festivals and just walked around and talked to people in the parks. So there's been a pretty good push so far with that. And we're currently in the visioning and development and review section, which is 3 and 4, going kind of stay in that 3, 4, 5 section for a while now as you see this original draft, and then as we move into the future information. The public input, this slide, really hit on, we hit on questions that really hit on what kind of play you want. And a lot of the play that came out of this was really the nature-based play, so more adventure play, more natural play than big plastic things, right? So getting the kids to play that direction. Additionally, more inclusive all-age play and all capability play. So it's a really kind of a well-rounded response from them that they want it for everybody. So your next slide, this one with the pie chart. This one was all around open space, parks and recreation, priorities and trends. And in the yellow box there, it says, people wanted shaded areas for seating and picnicking. So obviously the hot weather, we need more picnicking in the shade and stuff. So our designs will reflect that. Followed by sport court, which is pickleball, right? And that was tied with children's play. So pickleball and children's play were kind of tied for second in what the most requested items were from the community. And then walking paths, bike paths, more health-related things. And if you look at the box to the left, the national trends, what do you see first? Wellness, health and wellness and social connections. So being at picnics, gatherings, social connections, and then the walking and everything. So it kind of, what we got from the community is what we are seeing in our national trends. All right. So the next slide is the 3-tier approach. So we take all that data that we get from them and we put together a 3-tier approach to decide what part of the parks or what do we do with this data, this information we got. And step 1 is the sustainable maintenance. So the parks haven't had a lot of maintenance over the years. A lot of budgets have disappeared over the last 10 years, and you'll cover that. But, so that's step one on what do we do to these parks. Step two is we expand the park services, new park elements. Maybe something is new and exciting out there, like the old merry-go-rounds, well, those have come back. Those are one of the top placed elements these days. So they got governors on them, so you can't go that fast. So you'll see some of those if you join the committee, there'll be a lot of that looking on. And then the visionary projects is our third view. So if there's a project that, in this case, maybe it'll attract tourism. Maybe in Hans Christian Andersen, inside the park, we'll actually have some real Hans Christian Andersen events, right? And you'll see that here in a minute. But we want to make sure that these three-tier approach kind of covers everything from long-term, deferred maintenance, all the way till what's new and exciting in our park system, right? Turning the page. So let's look at a couple of our park spaces. You can go 2 pages to the Solvang Park Plan here. So what you're seeing in that picture, sorry for all those, is a new layout for downtown Solvang Park. And it came from some discussions and goals and watching the events, being at the events. And if you turn the page one more time, you'll see some pictures of a corner, enhanced corner treatment up at the street with some seat walls. Well, these seat walls are going to run all the way along Mission for security, safety, keeping, if a vehicle was to swerve out of the way and come onto the park and we have 1,000 people in the park, we now have some built-in park elements that will prove as a security measure to be safe from any vehicles or things like that. That corner also, you can see, it's small, but you can see that we've relocated the Hans Christian Andersen sculpture up to the front corner there, and it silhouettes by the Christmas tree in the background. So it really kind of a new signage, protection. That front corner there is a good adjustment. The one below that is our new bandstand. And the bandstand is not really centered right now, and it's really small. And so we're looking at building a new bandstand, centering it between those wonderful big sycamores that are out there, and enlarging some of the dance floor. So we have a lot of ideas, a boardwalk with a garden, because I know we got the Denmark Tulip Festival, so we could chime things in with timing with overseas. Entry signs coming in from the parking lot, more shaded areas, and then a fountain, which doubles as a water feature. So that's Solvang Park, and again, a lot of this is maintenance, but some of it is some new exciting things. Your next one is Hans Christian Andersen. So that drawing you see there is pretty small. If I had my slide, you'd be able to see it, but we're going to get it. We got technology on it.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Getting it onto the big display is all. It's in the agenda packet online. Amber is making the copies. No, we're looking.
Yeah, I'm going to say, is this gonna come back? Because it's really a shame that anybody watching is not able to see this.
Yeah. I'll come back and visit you with an update.
Yeah. Anna Marie's bringing some copies for folks. It is in the agenda packet, so if anyone is online, they can view it that way.
I just pulled mine up. If you can. There we go.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay.
I can start over. Yeah, sure. Why don't you just move forward to the downtown park, since the rest was more detailed information.
Full screen. Go to full screen.
He's the wisecracker of the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
They told me no.
More visual.
So the Solvang Park really hits pretty much all 3 tiers that we want to look at when we put money to rebuild something. So you're seeing kind of a new master plan with the bandstand kind of centered more into the park, like I said, between the sycamores, a larger dance floor. We also, in the design, you'll see there's a couple side stages for dancers. So we really are making this event area pretty special. And, you know, replacing the turf is a hard thing to do every year. It's a big budget item. So we're going to entertain possibly some options for that. And off to the left, you see there's another building between the restroom and the corner building. That would be another restroom we'd be adding to the park to make up for some of the things we heard from Yule Fest, right? Yeah. And so we listened, and Jenny's told us about some of the things we really need to make all these festivals work. So we want to use Parks and Rec to do that as part of the options. So you can turn the page. So up in the upper left-hand corner is where you saw the Hans Christian statue brought forward into the park. So now it's not just back in there. And all those other memorials will be relocated appropriately in the park. Also a little tulip garden and seasonal flowers, the protected, daisies. The protected seat walls along Mission, and then more shaded seating areas, as that was number one. You can go to the next slide. Let's go to the next one. So Hans Christian is broken up into multiple areas. Sorry, it is hard for you guys to see also, but the upper section by the skate park and the entry. So we really want the entrance to read a little bit more Hans Christian Andersen. So we would have some more sculpture out there, some more art at the entry, and then an accessible trail down into the park towards Atterdag Bowl. So Atterdag Bowl has kind of been abandoned at this point. We want to bring it back, and it'll be brought back more as a use as a picnic area, but also a special event area. So kind of a multi-use feature there. And then that little fitness station area that's been there since the beginning of time, we will update that. And it's actually working, you know, it worked pretty well to this point, but there is some failure in some of the timbers there now, so we got some safety issues we'll address. And then just more picnicking, and you see the grassy green spaces. We don't have a lot of that anywhere in the park, so bringing in some more blanketed areas where people can just throw a blanket and have a picnic amongst the shade is there. And then you see that curvy line up in the upper snake up there in the upper right hand. Oh, there you go. Thank you. You know, adventure play is a big part of it, right? So if you do go to Europe, there's a lot of coasters on mountainsides. They come down we have a lot of slope on this park. So if we do instigate some different type of recreation that's monitored and managed, then we can bring in some really exciting things, which would then attract the users from downtown. If they come with 2 or 3 kids, they'll be able to come to this park and really have a day there. And maybe the babysitter stays at the park and mom and dad go wine tasting, right? However that spreads out. But so the front area, let's go to section B. B is an area that's really not used at all. It's our trailhead. So currently there's no parking at the trailhead. There's a beautiful oak tree kind of right in the middle to the right there. And there's no ADA access to the trailhead. So now we'll be providing handicap access, a trail system that is a little more accessible. And then the adventure play was real high on our survey. So that sloped down to the new parking lot, which is currently just a big gravel area. We were looking at a possible zip line that's about 70 feet long coming down the hill, and then some on-grade slides, very much like a toboggan ride or a Olympic luge ride. So just a real fun, fast, about a 50-foot slide. So it's pretty exciting, and these are really popular today in all the parks. Go to Area C. Area C, so in my 3-tier approach, the vision part of it was big, right? That's the third section. So what we're seeing is this area currently just has the playground in the corner. So this is where we want to bring the storybook land in with Hans Christian Andersen, Thumbelina, the Ugly Duckling. We can do these small playgrounds around a circle to where you can walk and actually have a small display of the Ugly Duckling, and then there'd be several ducks kids can play on, and then maybe this big beautiful swan that has a slide riding down the neck or something, right? So integrate play into the Hans Christian Andersen stories And at the same time, we're educating. We'll have QR codes that they can just pull up the book right there. And there's even interpretive panels now that are virtual. So I could just click on interpretive panel, and Hans could be telling you the story himself. So it's pretty exciting. Water play was big. So where the playground is now, we're looking at getting the Little Mermaid statue back here, but 10 times bigger, right? And water. And so that would turn into a real great area, because there's a lot of area around that back corner that if we laid it out properly, we could have a real fun water play zone. We also rerouted the road on top. If you don't notice, that parking lot now is the main road. And because the road was kind of splitting that area, and we were splitting recreation and people crossing. So that gave us more space up top, which we have a large group picnic area right in the middle there of that great parking. So now groups don't have to be in that one picnic area in the back corner in the shade, right? So we can bring them forward and have multiple picnic, and we also have other play there. So this one is really exciting. But the biggest part is the upper right corner where the visitor mobile home, the host, park host lives. So we're thinking of turning that. Now this is where visionary comes into play. So open up your minds. So, we have the wonderful theater venue here, but we were thinking this could be an outdoor little theater and village, to where you'd have the theater, much like you would see in Odessa, right? All candy caned and unique sculpture thing. And with the little spectator area, and then just little booths where you could sell Legos, you can sell trinkets. So it could become much more of a tourist attraction. And if the Danish orchestra, who is in town now, the choir, they could be singing here off times with the other places, right? And it could be a ticketed event, or it could be free. You guys can do that any way you want. But it would just be a kind of a village of where Hans Christian Andersen grew up. So there'd be little facades of that strip where his yellow house is. And so just a lot of ideas to really get the Danish population, which is our highest population, right, in Denmark, to there. Thank you. Area D is our pickleball zone. So with this, we're going to have 6 permanent pickleball courts, 2 permanent tennis courts with additional pickleball striping if people do want to use temporary nets. But we will be reusing the existing courts, and then where the new courts that were built a few years back, we'll be using one of those for a practice court with a rebound wall. So you could be practicing there, reestablishing some parking back there, and some sitting and gathering areas. So when they're having a pickleball tournament or a group gathering of 10, 12 players at a time, or 25 players at a time, there's room for people to sit. And again, accessibility needed to be handled there also. So there you go. Al Commons, we're really looking at that, keeping it real garden, a Chumash garden, and walking paths, pretty simple as an open space. Sunny Fields, there's just some cleanup to do here. A dog park was mentioned. Someone wanted a enclosed dog park there, so we show it by the the volleyball courts with another little picnic area. And then the purple in the center, that's an art, bringing some more art into the park. And then mainly it's just looking at the field layout and just saying, hey, I think we can we can do some different layouts to maximize, younger youth play. One thing we didn't show was the new school, Solvang school. We just picked up that property there, which will help the field space, because it's a full multi-use field with soccer and baseball, full-size soccer. So that could really target some of the adult play in that field. We will be looking at the bike and pedestrian trail plan to really connect both sides of towns and all the parks with decorative access. Enough, we can move from there. And now I turn it over to the funding guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are we going to pay for it?
He puts the fun in funding.
he gets to have all the fun. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. Hopefully sorry, I gotta get this open. Hopefully the Corvette guys, the Corvette owners are gonna wait for us for dinner, right? You guys have a group of Corvette owners in town, I guess. Yeah.
We do.
Did you? I was gonna say, are they causing any trouble? I hope they're not causing. Anyway, sorry. Yes, I'm Richard Hunt. I'm actually not with Melton, part of Melton, but subbing for Melton. I'm with Peloton Research Plus Economics, also out of Chico. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit quickly. I know we're running out of time, but I just want to talk about the process we went through just to try and understand where Parks and Rec funding already comes from, and maybe try and figure out how we can find other ways to fund existing projects and then maintenance and then some new projects, hopefully visionary projects. So we started off by kind of reviewing the current funding sources and development budgets, and then we analyzed the department revenues and expenses over the past 15 years, just to get an idea what the trends have been. We identified the city's primary revenue sources, which is probably no surprise after listening to the meeting here tonight, that TOT makes up about 45%, actually slightly higher than that, of the city's general fund revenue sources. We also have about 15.3% in sales tax, and then 12.3% in property tax. Our property tax is only $1.5 million a year, which was kind of surprising to me, I have to admit, when I saw that number in there. That's a relatively low number for this area. But the TOT tax, which Randy has talked about numerous times, has grown from $2.5 million to $7.3 million just since 2011, which is pretty extraordinary, almost 3-time growth in your TOT. I know some of that is the increase in percentage, but that's still amazing. Just shows you how much the tourism has increased here. Out of that entire revenue funding source, we only have 1.2%, which is grant revenue, which is only $150,000 that we had in that last budget, which hopefully we can work on that and get that increased. So Parks and Rec basically makes up about 11.8% of the general fund. Tourism and marketing is 8% on top of that, so we got about almost 20% even goes to those two. And obviously they contribute quite a bit to the general fund between the sales tax and the TOT. My understanding from looking back through history is that the Parks and Rec Department used to be about 23% of the general fund back in 2015 to 2019. Public safety, please bear with me on the statistics. Public safety, about 19.3%. Administration, 26.5%. Public works and engineering, 24.5%. So we're Parks and Rec is not a huge part of the general fund, but obviously is a very, I think that and the tourism and marketing of the downtown is obviously a huge component of what drives the revenue for the whole city. So the property tax as a percentage of general fund, that was one thing, like I said, that stuck out to me. Solvang's contribution is only about 14.8% of the property tax contribution. The state average is 29%, so we're less than half. Paso Robles is 26.2, SLO is 25, and Truckee, which we've both worked in, is 43% of the property tax contributes to there. And they're a tourism destination as well, so they get quite a bit of property tax. And I kept trying to figure out, well, why is this happening? And I think it has something to do with the legacy ownership of the properties around here. Some of them go back quite a ways, pre-Prop 13. So we have a lot of old valuations on these properties, so they're at a lower tax base than like a new area like Rockland and Roseville and all places up north that grow like crazy. So we have a limited, relative to what we do here and what you guys produce, we have a relatively low contribution coming from property tax. So we have to figure out other ways to find sources of revenue. I think we have this, do you have my slide up? Yeah, okay. So current Parks and Recreation funding comes from just a couple of sources. That's the general fund, TOT, some user fees, which get kicked into the pot. And that's pretty much about it. So what we want to do is try and identify some expanded opportunities. And there's a couple of things that are really easy to do off the bat. And, well, assuming that we do continue to grow as a community in the future, going after the impact fees for new development, especially single-family homes being built, getting an park impact fee, probably in the neighborhood of $7,500 to $10,000 per unit, would be helpful. Of course, we do have to have growth for that to happen, so we'd have to talk about what our long-term growth prospects are. And then I can hardly see that myself. So, we have, yeah, we have the parcel. Well, parcel tax is something we don't have here that we could consider with 2/3 vote from the public. Pick some amount that works, that's manageable, that's very small, that would create an annual tax base that we could use as revenue or revenue source. In this case, we were thinking maybe about 200 a parcel, which as a percentage of tax bill is very, very low. But what that does for the Parks and Rec department would be close to $500,600,000 a year that they could use for future projects. We already have, we don't get hardly any Measure U, I guess, for Parks and Rec. That mostly goes to public safety. So again, we have to find other sources. If we have a source like parcel tax, which has an annual contribution that we can depend on, we can then go after bonds to bond some of these larger projects. Development impact fees. Parking fee, we've investigated that. I know you're talking to some people, some vendors. What we're finding is that not everyone goes after revenue with the parking fee. What they try to do is they try to manage the congestion. It's all about how do we keep people from parking for 6 or 7 hours at a time and not turning over the spaces and allowing other people to come in and spend money. And Truckee is another great example. They actually stopped focusing on the revenue side of the fee, of the parking fee, and said, well, what's the contribution in sales dollars? And it turned out to be a huge number when you turn over spaces. So they're really pro now into this parking fee program. So I've mentioned to Randy before, I think maybe do it as a pilot project and see, pick a specific area where you could do this and see if it works before you go commit, like Paso Robles did, to an entire downtown-wide program that kind of backfired a little bit for them. So just manage it, the implementation. Sponsorships, concessions, and I think those are things you probably already have to some extent at your events. We talked about regional and structural solutions. There's been talk in the past about a valley-wide district. One of the benefits of that is you guys on an income basis don't qualify for a lot of programs because of the high median here. If you bring in some of these unincorporated areas and smaller communities, you can go after more of that type of funding and maybe expand revenue sources.
And that's more for the regional recreation.
Yeah, regional recreation, well, like the pool, for example, yeah, right. Something like that. But still, you'd have, probably it would be centered here, but it would be valley-wide, because we don't qualify for a lot of the grants that come out. There is a percentage set aside for moderate and higher income communities like this. There is always a percentage, but the majority goes to the lower income communities. I'll skip over the grants since that is a big funding source we want to go after. I think we don't have this in the. Do we have that in the next slide?
Oh, no.
We don't have this? Yeah, we do. Yeah, there it is. All right. So we went after 6 tranches that we're going to focus on. Pickleball, trail expansion rehab, play equipment structures, Danish Heritage Public Art Project, Bandstand Plaza Green, and then parking lot expansion. We divided those up. And then we're trying to figure out what the cost is exactly on those, or as close as we can get, right? And then we're targeting specific grants that we know are already out there. I found 52 sources already that we want to go after. We just missed the window on one in March that would have been I think would have been perfect for Hans Christian Andersen. And that was the National Endowment of the Arts for implementing this public art project. So we will not have that this year, but next year we become eligible for that again. So there's all of these different sources. We have 52 in total that I think we're analyzing, and we're prioritizing each one. And then we've gone out already and done a 3-year calendar. Like, what can we go after when? What's the deadline? What's the letter of interest? When do you have to get the letter of interest in? What's our potential for getting that based on our criteria and our, I know.
Kind of a percent of success.
Yeah.
Thing to really determine which we should go after. And so this
Yeah.
budgeting and this funding part of our project here will really guide Jenny, guide you guys to what to go after. Not just say, here's a lot of great ideas, but here's where you can go after and get it. And there's different consulting firms also that also can aid us in grant writing, and they do all kinds of opportunities. And so I think, looking
Yeah.
at all the ideas on how to fund this is the super important part of all these ideas, right?
Well, and carving out a niche too. Like we've said, we know we're not going to go after like the low. We can't qualify on income. So why even focus on that? Let's focus on what we do have. Well, this Danish heritage thing, the architecture in this town, everything about this place is it's its own thing. It's so unique. Why not cater all of our funding towards that and go after those programs? And there's a lot we could go after for that. So I mean, yeah, we're looking forward to.
Yeah, so we can
Getting
take
those
some
numbers
questions
together.
If you guys have any.
Thank you. Yeah. I wanted to make a point that of those 52 grant options that you were referring to, we hire California consultants, and you're aware of that, I assume, and you
Yes.
can work with them or whatever for
Right.
that endeavor. Mr. Alfonte, do you have a comment?
This is stunning. I like your designs. I think it's amazing, actually, a lot of them. I love the park, Central Park. Randy's got a big version of that in his office, and it's just a wonderful thing to look at. So I presume that's the one you're calling Bandstand and Plaza Green.
Correct.
For 400 to 800,000, you can do that park. Yeah.
Again, these numbers are preliminary numbers.
That was very cool. Right? What did we say? Double, triple?
Triple.
In all seriousness, yeah.
It's probably a couple $1 million plus.
Yeah, I'm having some problems with some of these estimates. They just don't seem that you can do what you're proposing for that amount of money.
Let's just quantify this as draft number 1.
Yeah.
At this point, because I think this economic basis part of it was done before we master planned every part of that park. So that's where we're at with this. We're not caught up.
Yeah, we were focused on what are the 6 criteria and how would we go about doing it? And then those numbers, we knew those numbers weren't real yet because we haven't gotten any of the real official estimates back yet. But when you look at this, you say, well, that's going after 72% grant funding. Well, we're not going to be able to do that. I wish we could. I mean, how wonderful would that be?
Yeah.
But if we get a third of that, I would be in heaven.
It's government math.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I want to open it up to public comment.
On the numbers, just since we're on that topic, when you refine them, can you add, these are all capital costs, can you add the maintenance costs? Because when you think about, for example, adding all that green, would you call it blanket space? In HCA, we're going to have to water it, we're going to have to mow it, we're going to have to trim. Going from where we are today to the vision you've laid out just for the single park, the maintenance burden will increase, and we should include those in our projections when we try to prioritize.
Yeah, everything we're going to do, I think, in our fund.
And that may not exclusively come from you. It's got to come from our teams too, in terms of what our internal contributions and costs would be.
And I insist on doing a pretty healthy contingency on everything. I just assume we're
But because my reaction was, if it was $5.5 million, like, let's go. This looks great.
But even to go a step further, Liz, some of the things you described, it seems to me, should have adult supervision in some areas, should be park representation in some areas. Oh, you're talking about additional staff, not just for the cleanup and stuff that was mentioned, but just handling the daily process. So these numbers, yeah.
Well, you have to look at the proposal of, okay, are we gonna do something visionary, or do we wanna do something that's just in the park, maintained by the people, that you don't have to do a supervised event, right?
Maybe.
Or is that money, or do you pay $20 to do 3 times down that coaster? And that allows us to then have an income. So we like to look at our parks as revenue generators, not just, oh, it's paid by the tax base and go. You know, it's like, where can we generate the funding on that? And if we're getting all these people coming from all those places that was shown in the earlier documents, and they're used to paying for these type of events.
That's true.
So if we go to that level, it's a jump, right? But it's an attraction also, and it brings another entity to the community that's just not shopping downtown for, what they say, candies, chasing the candies.
The sweets.
Sweets, thank you. So it is not standard Parks and Rec where, you know, your current staff would be able to handle that, no.
Thank you.
And we have that as part of our 3 tiers that identifies what raises maintenance, what reduces maintenance, and then what takes more operations. So that'll be in the document also.
Very well. I want to open it to public comment. If anybody has any, come on up. Please share with us your name, and you're entitled to 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Ian Jacobson. I'm speaking tonight as president of the Solvang Community Development Alliance. My address is 618 Alisal Road, but I'm also speaking in part as a citizen of Solvang. As you may remember, that the Solvang Community Development Alliance is for promoting projects and services that drive economic growth, that promote community resilience, that build social cohesion, and that enhance our quality of life here in the valley. Now, one of the things that we have done is the city has been given a commitment of up to $25,000 for installing a new dance floor in Solvang Park. But that's matching, so that means that $25,000 has to be raised in order to be able to secure that $25,000. And the Solvang Community Development Alliance has that as its current project of trying to raise that. So I have some brochures here, some pages here if you're at all interested in that. Now, a couple of comments about the gazebo and the dance floor. I do a fair amount of travel throughout the world, and I meet all sorts of people, and they say, well, where are you from? And I say, well, I'm from Central Coastal California. Oh, where's that? Oh, I said, well, I'm from Solvang. Oh, Solvang. Oh, yes, we've been to Solvang. What a great place. We really love that. And so I say, well, you know, what do you like about Solvang? Well, of course, the windmills come up, and the Danish pastries come up. But the gazebo in Solvang Park has become iconic. And so, you know, they talk about the half-timbered houses, and they talk about they talk about the trolley ride and things of that sort. And one of the things then that has pleased me is they've talked about the gazebo. Now, in what I've seen as the draft plan, the gazebo is not iconic. And so I would like to make sure that whatever is done does not detract from the iconicness of this. Also, the dance floor, which is sort of an expansion of the sidewalk, is really smaller than what the concept was for a dance floor. So my time is up. I have said my piece. I'm happy to give you copies of this.
Thank you.
And if anyone wants
Okay.
And anyone else?
Just leave them with our clerk, and she'll distribute accordingly. Next, we have another speaker. Please share with us your name and.
I'm Denise Johns. I'm a local here in Solvang. I'm a landscape architect, so already?
You're done. No, go ahead. Sorry. Reset.
Congratulations, tremendous amount of work. I was wondering if, just as a suggestion, I wasn't able to attend all of your effort, your public outreach efforts. And I was wondering if it's possible if you place the results of those surveys and the commentary and whatnot online, so we could understand the direction that you were looking at as you developed your these initial concepts. I know I think there's 6 parks in here, 7 that you guys looked at?
We have 3 parks and then some open space.
Okay. And so this meeting for 6 parks wouldn't give us enough time to really analyze each one. I think that, I want to talk about Solvang Park in a second, but I thought the Hans Christian Andersen idea of that kind of transformation would be brilliant. And I think you mentioned that there would have to be a caretaker facility there to take care of something that intensive, but it would be transformational. People always say to me, what else is there to do other than to eat and drink here? And that would be a way to celebrate the traditions of Hans Christian Andersen and be really charming. I did have a couple things. Whenever I look at Solvang Park, it's an opportunity to really celebrate Danish, European, the center of town. We're so lucky to actually have a central park like that. That's obvious when you come into town. What I've seen happen too, in my eye, because I've traveled a bit too, that those types of central parks are a little more cozy, a little less concrete. We have park benches that kind of don't really relate to a typical Danish or Northern European kind of experience where you have beautiful, even movable tables that people could use or rent. I am not in love with your new bandstand, and I think that people do come here looking for an iconic Danish architecture, whether it's not necessarily a modern interpretation that people look for here. So I think for Solvang Park specifically, that a really focused effort at designing it when you're ready for that would be really important, as would all of the rest of them. But especially the Solvang Park, it is so iconic. I appreciate this effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else how about on Zoom? Any hands raised for that? Okay. We will then close public comment and bring it back to council for discussion and action. Is it, with regards to, I had one follow-up here for you. What are the options for naming opportunities for fundraising aspects?
Sure, that's definitely up in the air. I'm not what the city policy has for. There you go. So if we do have somebody that wants to claim financially support that situation, then
the Danish Brotherhood,
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Okay.
I did mention in our last newsletter those opportunities as well.
Okay. Good. Frank Park. Okay.
I would ask you folks to look at our current ordinance, current code, and see that they are compatible with projects like this. I love the idea of making the Hans Christian Andersen Park, more usable, more friendly, more welcoming. There's been talks before where we talk about, oh, let's bring the Ferry Festival here, let's bring the Ren Fair here. There's a lot of people that have great ideas, and yet this was before any of you were here on staff, but we would come up and say, oh, no, we can't do this. You can't have live music. You can't have these. You can't have that. So it'd be great if now that we're revising all that, I do wonder if the code itself makes our facilities unusable. And I understand that we got to be considerate of the people that live around there, but, sometimes those are very limiting. So it'd be great to make sure that what we do is compatible with what we're allowed to do.
Or what changes we might need to make.
Yeah, for sure.
There used to be an amphitheater in Friedensburg Canyon. So an amphitheater in that area is not something new, it just hasn't been around for a while.
Right.
I just have some comments, and we kind of glossed over the space right next to Solvang School, and it feels like that might be low-hanging fruit to modify quickly and use that space that's in a different location in town, or a new open space for kids especially to use. So how we proceed, if there's low-hanging fruit, like maybe LaSalle open space might be another one, just to, low impact, low cost, simple modifications that make those use cases increased, more accessible, and instantly usable. It would be great to hear like an order of things that you might recommend as we raise money and go down the path of the master plan, right? If it's a 5-year plan, how do we make small steps into the grand scheme? I would also echo that we are going to find certain things that we might want to change have a high sentimental attachment to both our community and our visitors, like the Solvang Park Pavilion. I think there's a large sentiment that when people come here, they want the same experience, like something nostalgic that doesn't change very much and doesn't get overly modernized. Slow, incremental, updates, refreshes, but we've got to be careful about that. The ideas around Hans Christian Andersen Park are they're just like so exciting. I want to go get it done like tomorrow. The one idea I'd toss out there, and again, one of those things about you're concerned about who you would disappoint and who would be, excited, that spectrum. I just wonder if, because we had a little bit, maybe it's not as fresh, we had some controversy over repurposing the tennis courts into pickleball courts. Could we, I don't know the feasibility, but could we use that asphalt space that's already the skate park that isn't a use case for a lot of people? Can that be repurposed for pickleball and preserve the tennis? Because there's still a lot of people who have a high sentiment around tennis, and who just throw it out there.
Also, if your plan included the priority phased, we can't do all this at once, but how would we build it one brick at a time, so to speak? We have the brick and build coming up, by the way.
Okay, yeah, I think the phasing and costing and all that will be coming back in your next draft.
Okay.
And lay it all out and
Okay.
look at the priorities, and so your questions are all perfect, and that's coming.
And the school property would be included in that?
Yeah, I think
Next
the school
round.
property just jumped on board there, right, Jenny?
Okay.
It did, yeah. And we've been meeting with the school just today with a possible joint use. And then I did want to just mention that the pickleball courts are kind of staff's first priority, because that's kind of what originally brought this master plan here. And so we'd like to complete that.
Very good. Anybody, I'd like to get some, we've given them the changes that we'd like proposed, but anybody want to nominate somebody for the master plan committee?
Review committee?
Any volunteers?
I'll do it. I'd love to serve.
Okay. Any objections or additions? Well, we have the Arona team has volunteered.
Okay.
Do we need to
We're on a
make a
square.
vote
We're
for
going to get
that?
something done.
I think a motion would be good, so we have a nice
Okay.
minute order to that
I'll-
effect.
I'll move that we nominate the Elizabeth and Claudia Rona to the serve on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan Committee. Is there a second?
Can I second it?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to have those individuals nominated as our committee. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante?
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Rona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you. Do you have enough feedback for where you want to go with this? Thank you, and thank you very much.
Back to you, and I'm sure the committee will fill you in on updates.
Bring back your own technical people, though, will you? We didn't do so good. Okay, let's move on to item 8B. If you'd read that into the record, please.
Award a construction agreement with Cal Portland Construction for the Alamo Pintado Road Pavement Rehabilitation Project.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I am back with the Alamo Pintado Road project, and I'm happy to announce that we did receive 6 bids. We put the project out to bid in late January and had a bid opening February 17th. Cal Portland was our low bidder and substantially lower than the others. And this is for because of the pricing that we received, it was actually more competitive than what we had bid late last year. So we're able to do the Alamo Pintado Road project as well as the alternate bids 1, 2, 3, and 4 without any budget adjustments for the project. Funding for the project will be coming from gas tax, Measure A, Measure U, and general funds. And the project itself, while in the alternate areas 1 through 4, we'll be doing dig-out repairs and various treatments to prepare for the following year's slurry seal. Alamo Pintado Road will be receiving a cold planing 5 inches down in each one of the travel ways, and then a nice 2-inch cap overlay across the road, and that'll go from Viborg to the end of the city limits. So very much looking forward to this project and getting that done for residents, because this is definitely one of the roads that we get the most feedback on. So we're super excited to be able to start implementing our pavement management program, and this will be one of the big hits to that. So the total contract amount for Cal Portland will be $2,912,000, and then I'm asking for a 10% contingency for any construction changes in the field that may be necessary for the project. And we had already secured the inspections and construction administration services last fall, as well as we have everything taken care of for the monument preservation and survey elements of the project. Does anybody have any questions or feedback about the project?
Yeah, I had a couple. Monument preservation, I'm not sure. What monuments are we preserving?
So anytime you do a road project, there's corner markers and things like that, and monuments out there related to survey, And so you have to go through and make sure that you're tying those out before the construction, and then you're coming back in and replacing anything that's been removed during construction.
Those are like geo placement markers for
Yes, like benchmarks, things like that.
Okay, no, thank you.
surveys and stuff like that. Yeah.
And along Alamo Pintado, it goes all the way up to the park. Is there a curb on the north end of that, or the west end, west side of that? Because I'm seeing a lot of degradation there from the farming implements and tractors that go across that road for the purposes of farming and harvesting and planting and so forth there.
I don't believe there's any curb along the
There's not
the
now.
west
Is there
side.
anything to keep that equipment or those things off the road?
Not, there's nothing planned in this project for that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Bridget, we took the lowest bid, right?
Yes.
30% lower than everybody. You know how it's just a yellow flag because we have had conversations about, do we get the right quality and the experience and the cap on change orders, if you will, when we engage the lowest bid? How like for like is the scope and the material and the other metrics that you would use to evaluate? Did we get common scope?
Yes, so the bids were tabulated and evaluated by PEI, the construction engineers for the project, and they didn't see any issues with any of the, sometimes you might load one part of the bid and take it out somewhere else, but it was very consistent throughout the bid. They're also a local. They didn't bid last time, but they're right here. I mean, you couldn't get any closer than Cal Portland, so I think that's part of the reason why they were so competitive.
I think I'm not questioning Cal Portland. I think everybody knows who they are and have seen their work and driven on it. I just want to, is there something we can do? I even just worry about the cost of asphalt changing on us right now. Can we do something to cap our change orders or really just fix bid this cost, even with a 10% contingency?
Well, we're definitely seeing the benefit of bidding this earlier this year, now that there's been a significant change in oil prices. But anything related to unit costs and things like that would be governed by the Green Book and various specifications that we have laid out in the project manual itself. The specifications, the technical specifications that we used for the project were Caltrans specs, so very standard, very tight specifications for each of the bid items themselves. But I think that I think there is if the actual price of oil or something like that were to go beyond a certain amount, there may be some renegotiations, but I would have to look into that more, and that would be outside of our control, and that would be something that would be applied to any one of these bidders that we would have
Understood, but we might be in the middle of the project and we have nowhere to go and our costs, let's go crazy and double on us. And could we do something to protect ourselves from that? It's a quick project. That's the good news, right? It's less than 60 days.
You're right. 50 working days is the duration of the project.
Can we fix bid it? We couldn't change it now.
Well, we have to follow, based on our purchasing policy, this type of project, the budget that it's at, we follow the formal bidding procedures. And so this is how it goes. It's, there are specialty bidding rules for certain types of projects that allow you to have a max price set, and then the company has to, they're going to bid it out and have to meet that price, but this just doesn't meet those criteria. So we're doing regular bidding on it, and that's kind of the bucket that it falls under.
Okay.
Will there be any other construction for for water or sewer or anything along those lines while we're at it?
There's no utility construction with this project.
And no underground endeavors?
No.
Okay.
Well, I should say we're replacing the catch basin at the corner there, but that's not the utilities you're referring to.
And when does this commence? Like, when do we start this project?
So we'll start mid-April.
Okay, and so the amount that we have here, we're kind of locked in with that through the beginning of it happening in April, so?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
June, we'll be done.
yes. 50 days from, the beginning of the start, hopefully sooner than that. We should have great weather, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Are they working through the night as well? So-
There's no night work on this project, no.
Okay, I will open it up to public comment if there is any. Anybody, public comments? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, easy enough. Let's close public comment and bring it back to the council for action or further questions.
I'll move to award the construction contract to Cal Portland, including the bid alternatives 1 through 4 for the amount of $2.9 million, and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract or the agreement, and authorizing the city manager for a 10% contingency for a total of $291,000 contingency.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve as stated.
If I may clarify, I know Councilmember Elizabeth Rona was using round numbers, but is the intention of the motion to approve the exact budget that staff proposed?
$202.912 million and to $291,200.
Thank you, Councilmember.
And no change.
Let's proceed with roll call.
Councilmember Infante?
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Rona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Paris. Next is item 8C. Would you read that into our record, please?
Introduced for first reading ordinance number 260392, amending various sections of Chapter 3, Street and Sidewalk Obstructions, Title 8, Public Ways and Property of the Solvang Municipal Code to regulate queuing in the public right-of-way and update, strengthen the city's commercial solicitation regulations, and make other clarifying edits.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This should be familiar to you. This was the ordinance that was brought for introduction at your last meeting, but the council had a few edits for staff to make, and so we're just bringing it back for introduction. The staff report's essentially the same as last time, but I want to point out on the second attachment in the red line, if you look at the yellow highlighted language, that's the changes that were made to address the council's comments from last time. Other than that, the item is exactly the same as presented and at the last meeting. And again, this is to help address regulating queuing in the public right of way on sidewalks and solicitation from businesses on the public right of way. So I'm happy to take any questions or go into more detail if you'd like, but.
I have a question. If you would walk me through the process, if I'm a restaurateur or I own a sausage garden or whatever the case, what is my process to get this encroachment permit and cost, and what will it accomplish for that company?
So you would simply go to planning and building and apply for an encroachment permit, just like you would if you needed to do anything else. And it's the same process for our regular encroachment permits on the public right of way or any city property. And just now you have to get it if you're going to be having people lining up in the sidewalk to your business.
How long will it take to get that? Because most of these things are, I need it tomorrow type of thing.
I think the intent.
Or can you do it for the whole year?
Yeah, the intent would not be that every time you think there's going to be a long line, you have to go get an encroachment permit. It would be a permit.
That's what I want to learn.
Yeah, I think. Raphael would have to be administered,
Yeah.
Bridget, but I think the intent would be that you would get a permit
Annual.
for annually, and then we'll give you operating procedures for how to, implement that when there is a line. Not that you need to get a separate permit each time you think there's going to be a busy weekend.
How much is that annual permit then?
I don't know exactly. It's not much, a couple $100 at the most.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I had. Anybody else? Okay, public comment. Any public comment on this item for, okay, anybody on Zoom? Well, we're just, I didn't know we were so riveting, so good to know. Okay, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the council for either further discussion or action.
Okay, I just want to make sure, so we're cool to display Halloween decorations for 2 months?
Well, that's a policy decision, but the way we addressed the one concern that was raised was that under the current code language that we weren't actually changing, but was shown in the ordinance, was that our code prohibits placement of basically anything on the sidewalk for longer than 2 hours. And so the concern was raised, I believe, by Mayor Brown that what about, holiday decorations? And so staff is proposing to accept or allow for temporary seasonal or holiday decorations that may be displayed on the sidewalk for a period not to exceed 2 months where at least 5 feet of unobstructed sidewalk remains. So you can't, block the path of travel. But that would allow for Halloween or Yule Fest decoration. So that's a policy decision if the council wants to do that, or we can, amend it again and bring it back.
There's probably 200 or more trees that are delivered to the city for the month for Yule Fest, for them to decorate and put on the sidewalk. So a 2-hour limit for something temporary like that, that's why I brought it up, to accommodate for those seasonal displays, holidays displays.
Okay.
That was the objective.
Okay, yeah, I
So-
just
so-
found it interesting that 2 months. I mean, I'm all for, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept this for first reading.
I'll move that we introduce the first reading of ordinance 260392.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve item 8C for first reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Infante.
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, if you would read item 8D into the record. we'll move on.
Discussion regarding use of city marketing material, slogans, and brands.
Thank you. I'm going to recuse myself on this item, once again, for the fact that I own a trademark and potential conflict. So I will leave you in the good hands of our Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Smith, to take it on. Yeah, here.
We're going to need it.
Just for you.
Thank you, Mayor. So staff report, Mr. Murphy. That's your.
Being
Should we-
delegated, thank you.
He's delegating to me.
Oh,
Thank you,
all right.
Mayor Pro Tem. This item is brought back in response to direction that we received during council comments last meeting to bring an item back regarding the mayor's Solvang passport business and the concerns, as explained in the staff report, that were highlighted during council comments and that staff understood to be the basis for the item was, one, whether the Solvang Passport business was potentially using city Solvang marketing materials, slogans, and brands, and then potential conflicts of interest regarding whether the mayor would have to routinely recuse himself or be biased in future future decisions before the council. And so the staff report lays out, staff did some investigation in between now and then, though it was a quick turnaround, and lays out the information that we were able to gather on both of those buckets for the council's consideration and whether they want to take any action on with respect to the Solvang Passport app. I think in the comments that brought this item forward, that was phrased as a cease and desist type letter. And so, staff's not making a recommendation on whether to do that, but we brought forward the information that we thought relevant for the city council's consideration of that potential action. And happy to take any questions. I will note that at that same meeting, there was a separate item with about copyright and trademark generally, and so that is coming back separately, where staff we're still researching copyright issues and potential for the city to either categorizing what we have as far as assets, and then what potential options there are for potentially copywriting or trademarking that. And so this sort of relates to but that is going to be coming back as a more broad topic generally. So we're not ignoring that, but we understood that this was potentially more urgent in the council's mind and wanted to be sensitive to that and bring it back more quickly. But that broader copyright discussion is still forthcoming. So happy to take any questions.
So, just slightly confused by that because copyright is half the report. So should we talk about it or wait?
Oh, well, we can. I mean, so what staff did with respect to this particular item was we looked at the materials that we had been provided and could see for the Solvang Passport application specifically, and tried to identify city marketing materials that we could see. And the thing that we did find was the video that's at the top banner of the Solvang USA website was used in a marketing video that has since been taken down for the Solvang Passport application. Staff didn't identify other assets that the city owns that are being used, but if there are other assets at play, we'd certainly like to know. And so we were focused on what can we identify from Solvang Passport app that's being used. The broader discussion is of all the universe of the city's assets, what do we want to do about that? So yes, we can talk about copyright. I'm just the answers of what the entire city's portfolio, what is actually copyrightable. That's what staff's working on still. And how much it's going to cost. Yeah. And what enforcement benefit you get from that kind of broader discussion for what the city might want to plan to do with its assets as a whole is what we're still working on. But we tried to bring forward the piece of what we understood the Solvang Passport app was using of city material.
Okay. I think I get it. I think we'll find out.
Now, I realize this is its own realm of law, but my understanding is that any created work by default has copyright in it. Obviously, there's some benefits to going and registering it, but any author has inherent rights to ask anybody that is using their property without permission to ask them to stop doing it.
Yes. So, and with the caveat that this is part of kind of what we're still researching, and there just wasn't time to totally turn that around to bring this back. But generally, yes, when you create a work that is copyrightable, that the copyrights attach at creation, but you don't, unless you go forward and register it with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, you can't file a federal and copyright enforcement action until you've unless and until you've registered it. And the timing of that registration gives, like, if it's like within a certain amount of time of when you create the work, there's more protections than if you like wait a long time to register it. But that's the detail that we're going to bring back. But currently, the city does not have any registered copyrights or trademarks. We have marketing materials like that video on the Solvang Passport the Solvang USA website that was used by Solvang Passport, that was created by a TJA, our consultant. We own it as a city through our contract with them. And you see the disclaimer, on the website that says copyright. We technically, because we own it, there is like copyright associated with that, but until we go forward and register that, we can't like bring a federal trademark or copyright action. We can definitely tell people to stop using stuff that we own, which is what staff did. I mean, actually, the mayor in this case voluntarily stopped using that video, but that would have been, Randy's next step would be to tell him to take it down. So, yes, to your answer part of your question, you once you create the work, you can tell people to stop using it. It's just going to court and enforcing that is a lot easier when you have registered the copyright.
So I'm going to play that back because my understanding is the same as Claudia's. We have inherent copyright. That's why we put it at the bottom of our website. That means that we own the assets. It is our intellectual property. And even though someone can right-click on text or images or videos and copy it to their hard drive, if they're to reuse it for commercial purposes, we have the right to enforce our ownership on it, correct? We have the right to do that.
Yeah, we can tell them to stop doing that.
We can give them a notice, but whether we take them all the way to court, the legal basis for us to do that means we should take the step of registering what we want to copyright. Is that correct?
Well, that's a policy call for the city council
I'm
to
just
decide.
asking procedurally, is that?
Yeah, if you want to be able to,
steps?
if the goal would be to bring a federal copyright action to enforce your copyright in civil court, then yes, you'd have to register it. There's a lot of deterrence factor to just putting up that copyright, this particular discussion notwithstanding, I guess, but there is a deterrence factor to putting up that copyright disclaimer, which is why you see that routinely, even though the next step of registering copyrights often isn't done because it costs money and, going to court costs money.
I want to make the point that there is still material on Solvang Passport and the Solvang Passport sponsor pages and the application downloads that are still exact copies from what's on Solvang USA. There is content that is word for word, copy and pasted, specifically from our Things to Do page. So they are not distinct phrases. They are copied and pasted. So who knew that you could right-click on a video and make it your own by putting an audio track on it? The question is, if we're spending public purse money to create those assets through a contractor, and in the contractor contract, it says any IP created is owned by the city, do we care? I mean, do we take any action when someone's, especially one of our own, right, is copying that and using it for private benefit or commercial purposes? Would maybe be different if there are images on the Things to Do site that are also replicated in crop form or different focuses, different, sort of zooms in crops of the same images. I don't know what is our ownership of those content, if there's a license included or in the middle of that, the right for us to use it and present it. An example being the logo.
Mm-hmm.
But do we, as a council or as city leadership, have an opinion on letting someone take it for their own private use.
And I guess I will interject there just to say that I think that's the question before council. And if we're going to get to deliberation, I would recommend the Mayor Pro Tem ask for public comment before we
Yeah, just I wanna
deliberate.
make
But
one
if you have more
point.
questions
But
for
your
staff.
report actually says, the report says, we don't have a copyright, but we do.
I think that's, lack of precision on the report part. I think the distinction there is we haven't registered for a copyright. And because that's the mechanism with which you have to go to civil court for
So I'm just going to make an appeal before we go to public comment, because there's other things to discuss before we do that. You made the point that we could take the step of registering, but we need to decide what is our policy. And as a board, we're creating that legislation or that policy. So I think we, need to decide if what business we're in terms of governing public purse versus, supporting somebody's private business or implying that we are.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I had another question, if that's okay, at
Yes.
this point. I mean, we just had some amazing presentations earlier from our marketing teams, and beautiful pictures. And there's pictures of Solvang, there's verbiage in there, there's slogans, there's everything in that. Do we own that? I mean, we're paying them for all of this, so.
Yeah, so yes, we own that, but at the same time, not everything that you create meets the criteria to be copyrightable or have a copyright. And so, you're right that it attaches when you create it if it is something that meets the criteria of copyright, but it's got to have originality, it's got to have different criteria. And so just because they created it doesn't mean that we could successfully go register a copyright, if that makes sense. And so
But I think we can. I mean, what I've researched is that we can take content. If we have a contract that includes language that says whatever you produce is our IP. It's we own those assets.
Yes.
We can actually. There's been a couple of other cities that have bundled those assets up that sit on solvangusa.com, and we can take that bundle and say everything that's there is copyrighted by the city. It's a $35 process, is my understand, for that registration, and it takes a few weeks. It's, maybe we do it for 3 sets of assets, but you can bundle them if they're packaged. Is that right?
again, that's the part that's coming back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, if I may, let me go back to the conflict part.
Yep.
So right now, you're on the passport, right?
Yes, Solvang Trolley Ice Cream Parlor is in the passport,
Okay.
yes.
Is that a conflict that she is working with the mayor on a product that's a private business for the mayor and in this discussion in the first place?
Well, I mean, I haven't done the analysis, but it's not a it's not a source of income to her because she's
Or
not
him.
getting paid.
Or him, at this matters, I understand it. He's doing everything, letting everybody do it for free.
Yeah.
And I was told by a couple of business owners that they were allowed to try this out for free until he was no longer the mayor, and then it was $249 a month. Okay? But in the meantime, if we have a council member and a mayor both working together on a product that is a business, is that an issue?
I can analyze the FPPC financial conflicts. We didn't discuss it ahead of time. The first thing that comes to mind is that whether it's a source of income or not, she's not getting payment from it.
Neither is
Should
If
she,
anything-
hold on.
but
Should she recuse? Because you have also in our report that if there's any, she should recuse if there's a possibility of bias that might present itself if she's his client or potential client and he's recused. She's going to have an opinion or a bias.
Okay, first of all, it is up to each individual council member to decide whether they have a potential bias or conflict of interest or not, because each individual council members are the ones that are going to take the heat, the fines, the public scorn, and the potential repercussions from the Fair Political Practices Commission. That being said, personally, I think it doesn't represent any financial gain to me whatsoever. If anything, it's costed me an ice cream cone that I have to give out for free because he put a promotion tested. It doesn't drive any financial gain to me whatsoever.
But did you receive anything of value, which is representation on his application?
That is debatable. Again, if it costed me giving away an ice cream cone that somebody was willing to pay for until they saw the QR code on the thing, no, they did not drive anything to value.
Okay, let's back up then. The other issue that we have, which is whether we're going to pursue a cease and desist or refrain, is it's the business model that is behind this app. So it's not just whether the app is using city assets. It's also that there's two things at work. Conflict where business decisions that we make as a council could be influenced by the mayor's thinking because of his business, the business of selling Solvang to the same exact addressable market that we market to, and the business of delivering those customers, the same clients we market to, delivering those customers to the business he's representing on the app.
Again, it is up to each individual council member to decide whether
Okay,
the conflict of interest.
Can we?
That's
can we
true, but then we really need to revisit our ethics code because it's so
Right, and-
thin.
So I'm just wondering if we can bring this to public comment, and then can we continue this discussion after public comment?
Sure.
Is there any?
Please
Is
chime
there any?
in.
No? No? Okay. Anyone? All right, then.
Now, let me ask one other question, just a goofy one. He has a business. Does he have a business license? Does that put him in violation of our code because he does not have a business license for his business?
I mean, it's a little bit of a gray area because he's not charging for anything. It's kind of like a pilot program.
Yeah, it's also
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry, but you guys omitted that from our report, that he is charging $250 per month. It is on the digital website. It is on his application.
Right.
And it's part of the content that you guys provided to us. So he is charging, or he will charge. Maybe it's early. I mean, that might be good news that we're, kind of intercepting something before it goes really wrong.
So my understanding, and again, this is based on representations from the mayor, but my understanding is his business model is to charge $250 a month, but he has not yet implemented that, in part because of the conflicts analysis.
Yeah, we won't know that. We just know what it says on the, internet. But how would we know? We're not going to ask to check his books. How would we know whether he's charging or not? How would we know whether he's using the MP4 file
Well, how do
that
we
he
know
downloaded?
if anybody's truthful when they file their Form 700? How do we prove anything? Are we alive? No, I mean, no, but it's true. I mean, we only know what we declare.
Exactly. I agree. So what will we declare? It's really the business model. If the mayor was marketing an app for Bakersfield, I genuinely
Could care less.
don't have an issue. But when he's acting like a digital concierge, and we pay Visitor Center concierge to be our concierge, and his role is to specify a subset of businesses that he's going to push the same visitors to Solvang to by gamifying our city. And those businesses, they might be the elite businesses or the businesses that can afford to pay him, but those that can't are going to be left omitted. And that application, by the way, is accelerating. It's like carving a very specific path through Solvang. When we're trying to promote all businesses, we're marketing to everyone who wants to come to the city and suggesting they go to every business in the city, not some, and not limiting them.
As much as
We are not interfering with Solvang business.
As much as I'd like to agree with you, if he's running a business, he has the option of limiting it. And that's not a conflict as a business. As a mayor, we have a different issue. If he's only going to represent certain businesses and not all of them, is that a legal problem?
So that question gets into the conflict of interest rules, and you're right, as a business, as a private entity, he can do that. Like, just like your restaurant down the street can advertise only for their restaurant and whatever else they want to advertise for and serve to who they want to serve to.
Don't want to allow liquors, that's fine.
But as a public official, as the mayor, his actions as the mayor versus his private business, just like any other business, that interaction is governed by the FPPC conflict of interest rules and general, like, you have to be an impartial decision maker. You guys have seen and we've explained in the staff report, the city attorney's office did analyze that on his behalf, just like we would for any other council member that has a financial interest, whether that's your house, your business, what have you. But again, it is ultimately up to him to implement that advice. We've given him the rules of the road, but he's the one that has to implement it, because to Councilmember Elizabeth Rona's point, we only have the information that he tells us, and he's got to regulate himself.
I want to jump in here. I just want to say that I'm understanding that the businessman David Brown is going to certain businesses and asking if they want to be included on this app. And that, as a businessman, is completely acceptable. But I want to know how our business owners are going to discern between David Brown, the businessman, and David Brown, the mayor. And that might put them in a very awkward position, that if they're approached, are they going to feel obligated? And do we even expect them to make that discernment? Like think about that, right? And I always think that if he's including certain businesses, then he's obviously excluding certain businesses. And he's here as mayor to represent every single business. And I think this is this is thin ice that we're skating on, and this is, very difficult. And I don't know how our business owners are going to be able to say, he approached me as a businessman, not as the mayor.
Well, that is.
And would businesses be afraid to, we haven't heard from any business, we only heard from one, to come in and speak to us about a concern or a decision, or why was I left out? Will we really hear from them? Because they feel like the city leadership is looking the other way.
Well, that's an interesting point then. Are you guys saying that, obviously, I'm a shareholder on the local trolley, which not only does sightseeing, but it also promotes certain businesses that pay for it. So should I stop the trolley too? Should I close my business? Should I sell it? Should I not do it? Because now this is a conflict of interest? Obviously, the voters
do you
didn't have
take
any
money
problem-
for that
I'm sorry?
promotion? Are
What's
you
that?
taking a fee for that?
Yes, we do pay a...
No, from a business to promote them.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Advertisements, yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be a potential conflict of interest.
Yeah,
One
I
of
mean,
those
I
particular
don't,
businesses
this is a complicated
Exactly.
issue, and we're in really great territory. Couple things. Let me just see if I can take it a little higher up. this app in particular, because it's addressing the same addressable market we go after, where we spend over $1 million a year. We spend millions of dollars going after that same market and representing Solvang. It's as if we're in competition with this particular app. And because at the other half of that business model, he's collecting a fee from a subset of businesses, we're also interfering with, or even we're taking no position on the fact that one of our own is accelerating our customers through Solvang at a quick rate and a prescribed path. And we're in the business of getting people to come here and stay, as long as possible. We want them to stay 3 days. We want them to stop in every shop. Are we not promoting every business? Well, I think that it's if there was a third party building this app, I think we had less concern, right? But at this point, if he took the model and sold it or transferred it, a thing of value to some third party, again, we have a city official in his official capacity competing with the way we're spending the public purse.
Would we feel the same if he was using material that he created himself and not taking it from our website?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think so there's two different issues. There's two different issues.
Okay, so it's not about, because I feel like if the problem is the perception that he is using assets that we paid for with public funds and he's using it for his personal enterprise, okay, I can understand how it looks bad. And again, it's on him. It's not the council's job to police that. But if the problem, I can see how that would be an issue, in which case we can just ask him to, hey, for the sake of not looking bad, can you just use your own assets and not assets that the city paid for? But if the issue is that he is taking on an enterprise on his own, just because he's also the mayor, well, we all have our own jobs. We all have our own enterprises. We still have to pay our own bills that go way beyond $600 a month. So I don't think the fact that he is making his own app is an issue.
As the mayor.
Okay. I could say it's a problem.
One more point, because it's interesting, because he put he's taken down the things that we've pointed out. He's added the legal disclaimer on his app, which suggests that, the city is not endorsing what he's doing. But it says the city of Solvang, neither expressly nor implied any approval, association, or endorsement of the Solvang Passport app. And he doesn't say the city of Solvang and the mayor, neither expressly implied approval or association or endorsement. You can't separate the two.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to go with that one.
Well,
but it's vague. It leaves a huge gap.
I think even if this is all legal and there's no issue with it, I think for me, a real issue is ethics. Is that ethically, is this the right thing to do? Which leads me to another point about the fact that, I've looked at our code of conduct, our ethics, code for the city council, and it looks like it mostly focuses on how we treat each other and how we deal with meetings and everything. I think that we need to add something to this code of ethics that if there is a potential conflict of interest, that it be not only brought to the city staff, that it be brought to the city council. And I'm coming from the angle that I felt blindsided by learning about this app. Like, I had no idea. I have a business in Solvang. The mayor's not approached me about being part of the app. Not that I want to, but I just feel that we are held to a high standard here, and ethically this doesn't look good, and I can't support this because my my constituents in my district, in District 3, are a lot of business owners, and they all need to be represented by the mayor, and I don't want, and I don't expect them to discern between businessman David Brown and Mayor David Brown, and I don't want to put them in a bad spot. So I think that we do need to do a cease and desist on this. If Mayor Brown wants to stay mayor for his term, and then do this as a businessman when he's no longer in city government, great, go for it. But I think as long as he's in city government, this is not appropriate.
I think that is for the voters to decide. It is the citizens of Solvang that elected him, and it would be citizens of Solvang that will recall him, and they will recall you if they feel that you are not acting appropriately. Yeah, it's up to the public. It's not up to us to police each other.
Well, I'm not sure I'll buy that completely. But the one thing that David has done was he went to the lawyer and asked how to avoid any problems with the FPPC, the Form 700s. And it's my understanding that's where the $249 a month came instead of $250. It puts him just below the total dollars per year that's required for certain reporting. He is not accepting any money right now. And it's my understanding, from what I've been told by a couple of businessmen that I've talked to that have signed up with him, that he won't take any money until he quits being mayor. Now, he doesn't quit being mayor till December, under the assumption he's
That we know
gonna
about,
run.
unless he runs again.
Unless he runs again. Yeah,
But why not just wait until
December.
to do this?
You know, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you, except that this gives him a chance to do some testing and see how well this is going to work, to see if he really wants to continue it. I'm not crazy about this. I've got a copy of his app on my phone. Took a look at it. There's some stuff on there that seems unusual. It's not the way I would have done it, but I'm retired. I don't do it. So I would like to suggest that we do look into the other half of this discussion, which is it's suggesting what we do own and don't own, and what our rights are, and what policy we should have with regard to using items, marketing items that we paid for. So he has attempted to eliminate those so far. I don't like this, but I'm trying to be reasonable about it. But I do think we need to make some decisions. There are other cities around, like Carmel or Vegas or Palm Springs, that have policies on what you can do with images, names, things of that nature that they protect. And I personally would like to see that brought back to the council.
I just find it really interesting that we're looking at protecting our own content when we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for people to make content that goes viral and gets reshared, and you will use creative content made by third parties. If we were in the business of making characters, stories, things that we're gonna make toys and merchandise out, intellectual property that we exploit, such as certain animation studio that I'm not gonna mention, sure, it makes sense to protect those assets because you don't want other people profiting from them. I think if the problem here is that it's problematic that the mayor is doing a promotional app while he is mayor, well, then I think it's appropriate that he makes it very clear that this is his personal project, not the city's project, and also go the extra mile. Don't use any content that was made with public funds. But to say that he shouldn't try out a promotional app because he is mayor, Well, then again, should I quit the trolley? Should I find another job?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, it's comparable. If
No,
you,
it's not.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Why not? I promote Solvang. I get money from certain businesses to get highlighted on our tour. How is that different
How
from
long
a
have you been doing that?
promotional-
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that since 2007.
And when did you get on city council?
I got on city council in 2020.
Okay, so you were doing that prior to even getting on city council. We now have a mayor who is doing a project as a businessman while he's mayor. He's doing this while he's in that position. There's a big difference there.
I think how you can argue that he's not potentially privately profiting from his official role. I agree with Councilmember Infante that we should protect our assets. I take my role as council member very seriously in that we have fiscal responsibilities to oversee and make decisions on how the taxpayer money is spent. And if we have no opinion and we leave it to each other, we have no opinion as a body that there is potential that even just having you sit in on the marketing presentations today and logging into the dashboard and seeing all of the insights that come from our marketing engagements, the hiring of a contractor whom we spend over $800,000 a year with, and seeing that insight and figuring out how to apply that to your business, to collect revenue or to create something of value, I don't know how you don't see that conflict.
How is his app hindering all that effort? How is his app?
I didn't say anything about effort.
What's that?
I didn't say anything about effort.
Okay, but how is that hurting us?
I think it's governance over fiscal responsibility.
It's not costing us any money for.
It is
It's not costing us any money for
conflict of
him.
the way that we are dictating how public money gets spent, and him getting a private benefit from it. I mean, we could argue the same thing for you, Claudia, because you're sitting here when you can apply that to your business, your retail-oriented business, which is the same set of customers coming to Solvang. But in his case, you're marketing one entity business, and he is marketing all of Solvang to 100 businesses.
100.
And further, he is the only principal in his business. I think you said you were a stock owner or something. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I don't think you're exclusively the owner of and the sole benefactor of the business value.
Okay, well, again, I don't see how it's hurting us fiscally that he is starting this pet project.
It's your opinion. I think that since I do want to agree that we should protect and copyright our assets, I want to agree with you that we should cease and desist and potentially refrain, because I want something that's enforceable. But I think we need to send a message to businesses and to the public that we have deep concerns, and until he stops using our content or starts sort of considering that there might be so much room for businesses to be confused about which role he's playing when he's speaking to them and what his motivations are and his biases are, that the cease, desist, and refrain is important for us. And I think we can withdraw it. So if there's such a time when we feel we're more protected or we have better ethics policy, then we can probably withdraw it, or he can say he's complied. So cease, refrain, and desist is something I think we should pursue. And finally, I after this discussion, I'm 100% convinced we should update our ethics policy.
Yes.
I just want to get clarification. So, a couple things I'm hearing. One is this staff is already working on this, but what assets we have that are copyrightable, bring that back, get direction on whether and which ones we want to go, if any, go forward and actually register. Policy direction on that item could also include policy direction on, even if we don't register, like how we want to interface when we realize if someone's using our
Yes.
material,
Yes.
that piece is coming.
Okay, so
Hear you
we
on
are-
that.
Okay, so we are gonna copyright every write-up, every picture, every video that we produce. Just in the case of somebody that we feel is using it inappropriate, we are able to take legal action against. Again,
I think that's whether to do that is will be coming at a future agenda item. I don't think we're deciding that tonight. It's just what I'm hearing from at least two of you, which is consistent with the direction we got already at the prior meeting, is to bring forward an item to evaluate the city's intellectual property assets and get direction on how the city council wants to proceed with protecting those
Or not.
or not.
okay, again, but I think these are two separate issues. And are we mad that he's using content that we paid for, or are we mad that he is doing an app that promotes certain businesses to begin with?
Yes.
What is
Yes,
this even about?
Both.
That's the two.
And they can be two separate issues
So I guess that
brought, kind of brought forward.
that's what I was gonna ask for clarification on. But I'm trying to deal with the easier buckets first. The second bucket of direction that I heard was that you'd like to see something come back of amending the city council protocols to address when council members have potential new financial interests that might result in conflicts, and protocol for keeping the council and staff apprised of those developments, something like that.
Definitely further than am I going to award a contract that serves my interest or that I have an interest in? Those are really not. We rely deeply on state legislature. We've not created anything of our own.
So should nobody start a business while we're serving on council? Is that what we're saying?
I think we figured that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's two buckets that are coming back. Council protocols, reevaluating those.
I don't think it's that. It's more complex than that, Claudia. It's not any business. I mean, I think I said it before. We've had businessmen up taking this role for years, and we've found ways to get through that. This one's singular.
Okay, then why is this an issue? How is it different than any other business?
Because he's selling to the exact same addressable market that we spend money for, and he's separating some businesses, a group of businesses, from another, and taking fees for certain representation. That's his business model.
Okay, well, he takes fees for brokering whenever
respect
he sells
your opinion.
a
I respect your
property.
opinion.
Is that also a conflict of interest then? It can be if a particular client comes here and needs a resolution by council and he doesn't recuse himself, then is a conflict of interest. If somebody he's advertising comes here and he has to take a decision that particularly affects that client, then I can see how that's a conflict of interest. But I don't see the conflict of interest on just selling advertising alone.
He's not selling advertising.
He
Anyway, I
is
respect your
selling
opinion.
He is selling
I didn't know that.
advertising.
I didn't know that.
He is selling advertising. That's the whole of the Point app. It's no different from Yelp. You pay to be on the app so that people go check your business out. That is selling advertising. It's not. I don't see it in competition with what we do at all. If anything, it complements what we do.
I respect your opinion. You've said it. You're not going to change my mind.
So, if I may interject, Madam Attorney, would you go back, please, and let's cover the two issues and bring in your opinion on both of those, and we will address those individually at another time. So we may say, no, he's not causing any problems with his business, but we still need to not copyright, but we need to protect some of our images. Has, nothing to do with David anymore.
Right. So I think the two buckets that I was just talking about are just policy decisions for the city council. They might have been kind of triggered by the Solvang Passport app discussion, but I don't see that as directly, the discussion's going to be beyond just what's going on with Solvang Passport app. And that's, what we want to do with the city intellectual property rights and what, if any, adjustments we want to make to the city council protocols. We can bring both of those items back. I think the third bucket is the one that I would like some clarification on, and that's with respect to whether this council wants to issue a cease and desist letter of some kind. Typically, you see those in the context of when somebody is violating a legal right of yours and you tell them, stop it before I sue you, and you try to get voluntary compliance because litigation's expensive. That's kind of the lens that I'm thinking about it in, just because that's how I've seen a cease and desist letter used. In this case, to the extent that there are still assets that the Solvang Passport application is using that the city owns, I think, telling the mayor to stop using those assets.
That's a good idea.
We could do that.
But
We'd have to identify them, which we can do that work. As far as like his pursuit as a private business owner of the business in general, I caution the council to tell him, like, we can't tell him to cease and desist doing his own private enterprise. I understand and hear you on the optics of it. Staff with Randy has already expressed to him the concern about the difficulty of separating himself as a private citizen and the mayor when he's going and talking to businesses. That is a real concern. But I do counsel or caution the council, multiple words uses of the word council, there's another one. I think we do want to be careful about infringing on his rights to engage in commerce and free speech and all of that. So there is there's kind of a barrier we're going to bump up against on that end as well. I'm not trying to diminish any of the concerns expressed, but I think that is a reality that, there is a limit to what we can tell him not to do. Certainly, we can tell him not to use our intellectual property right and our property, the city's property.
Can we, not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but can we sort of ask him to sort of slow things down or stop pursuing this until we have more conversations about this and we
That's going to be tough.
I mean, so not using any of our property, but we're trying to figure out what property is ours and what we we want to trademark, so.
I mean, we own it, whether we go and register it, to Councilmember Elizabeth Rona's point, we own it already. So you can tell him to stop using it if he's still using it. And, we could do that either with a blanket statement or just, or go through and, if you've identified certain assets that you want to, show me, we can be more specific and say, we think you got X, Y, and Z from the website, take it down. Maybe he went and took the same picture. I don't know, but we can tell him to stop using what we think is
He
ours.
doesn't have a drone.
Yeah, well, that drone video clearly was the same one. And he admitted that and took it down voluntarily. But, I think you can certainly, you've expressed the concerns here today. You could express the concern about people not being able to separate him as the mayor in the letter. But I think going farther to tell him to stop doing his business, I caution the council from doing that.
I don't think
But
we wanna-
that's
I don't think
that's
we
what
wanna
we're
do that.
asking him to do. Stop doing this.
No, I
business.
don't think that's what we're asking. I think we're trying to get some clarification and trying to really understand and take ownership of what we think is ours and make sure that it is not being used by, the businessman David Brown or anybody else. So I just think that's the kind of clarification that we need right now. So no, we're not asking him to stop.
I thought that was the whole point of the cease and desist from pursuing this business model.
Yeah, that's the distinction I'm trying to get clarification on, because staff's going to go, per
In
your
which
direction.
case, no, we don't have any right to tell him, hey, stop doing this. Just like, I'd be flabbergasted if you guys thought, because your opinion says that there's a conflict of interest in me pursuing my business, that I should do it. You shouldn't do it either. I think I can understand how it looks bad. I can see the optics on it. But just because something looks bad, looks fishy, doesn't mean that it's illegal. I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask him to differentiate his private business from his role as mayor, to make it clear that this app has nothing to do with the city. It's not funded by it. It's not supported or endorsed by it. And I think it makes sense to ask him to not use any of our assets because, yeah, we did pay for those. And I can, if we're thinking about how he is using publicly paid assets for a private enterprise, then yes, I can see how that doesn't look bad. But I'm not in favor of telling each and every council member, you need to stop doing this in your private life just because I personally think that it doesn't look good.
That's what we're saying no to.
Do you think do you think he's in competition with what we fund through our concierge in the visitor center?
I don't think he's in competition. We are not selling passes to the visitor center. We are not selling passes to enter Solvang. It's information that is free to everybody. If anything, it's one more thing to do in Solvang, assuming that the app took track, which I can tell you it's not getting the traction that he probably
Not
thought.
here to judge
But
it
I don't
at
think
all.
it's in competition. It's not booking hotels for us. It's not driving people away from the visitor center. It's not driving away.
How do we know? I mean, how do you know? How do we know? I don't.
Well, you don't even know about the Solvang app unless you come across the
can-
QR code somewhere. I don't see how it's driving away business from Solvang. If anything, it would drive business away if it wasn't encouraging people to visit another city. Then that would make sense. But I don't see how it's driving business away from Solvang at all.
I guess
Driving away from the visitor center because you have two concierge, one that we're funding and one that he's building.
And there's also concierges on that people make themselves. So I don't see how that's a competition. That's not costing anybody any money.
I probably wouldn't have an issue if he was an influencer and telling people where to go, cool places inside Solvang. But he's charging businesses and he's separating businesses into two categories. Those that are interesting and those that are, it says it, tourist traps.
And how's that taking away from the visitor center? That doesn't make any sense.
Because the visitor center promotes every single business and wants you to go to every bit of this town, every corner.
Okay, may I, can we, it's 10:15,
I see.
folks. It's time to go home. It's too late to even have a drink. So, what I think we're asking for once again is, do we want to try and take a look at what logos and information that we say we have control over and make a policy about it? That'll have to come back. Then updating our ethics policy, I think. I do not think we have to say anything to David about what he should do with his business. We may not like it, it's like Claudia said, it is, each and one of us may not like it per se, but as long as it is not causing a conflict. Now, the minute somebody starts complaining, that's a whole nother issue, I think.
Why don't we create a process for complaints that our businesses feel comfortable with? Because I'm concerned that maybe businesses don't feel that they can come. What format, what forum do they have available to them to raise a concern, and know that they'll get an open mind? But I would feel more comfortable with a committee because
a committee to handle complaints, I'm all for it.
There's nothing we have provided no documentation yet that the mayor was asking for money for this.
Right.
So it's not in the record, and it needs to be. So it's not, hopefully it'll become in the minutes, we don't just leave it to video, but it is not in the report, which I find concerning.
Well, that's why we have the Fair Political Practices Commission. If we think that a public official is not doing something right, anybody can find a complaint in that. It's not up to us. There are the institutions that deal with this very sort of thing. So why are we spending council time on policing something that there are already the tools to police?
I think we are, we actually should be self-governing. We leave it to
but
others. We
again,
leave it to
that's why-
outside. I mean, I guess that's, I find
Again,
that.
that's what the Fair Political Commission does. So we already have the tools to deal with this sort of thing. You think he's doing something wrong? File a complaint. That's how it works. They do the investigation. They do all the work for you.
That's an interesting idea.
So I've got the direction on the 2 buckets of research to do to come back with the council protocols and the copyright trademark issues. Is there any other action the council wants to take tonight? And I think we should do a motion besides have a drink afterwards.
I think that's it for right now.
Okay. We will bring those 2 items back.
All right.
Did you,
You close the
do you
meeting?
want to close the,
Am I closing it? Do you want to bring?
Well, he can come back and adjourn, but you can close the item, I guess. I don't know. We're done with
Okay, so we're done with item
8D.
Thank you.
There is?
Closing comments or something?
Oh, closing comments.
We only have, only have 5 more minutes of stuff, right? It's exhausting. Are there any council closing comments? I want to make a comment of code modification opportunities for, there are businesses in town that have no names and no addresses. If there were to be an emergency of some kind, how would the first responders find it if they have no name or no address? I'd like to see. Now, well, we have, the thing is, there's kind of a catch-22 because we require sign ordinance. So the sign or the business name would probably have to be even on a 8.5 by 11 in the window or some such thing if they don't want to have a sign. We can't force somebody to have a sign, but should we have a some sort of identification, and maybe that mirrors what the business license says or whatnot. But anyway, that's something I'd like to see added to the agenda for future, to evaluate that. Unless there's anything else, we're adjourned at 10:21.